watching. I'm listening to the Rotten Tomatoes, so that's why I'm smiling. Random facial expressions. I'm in letter N. I started with letter O. I'm gonna go to letter A. I think I'm in letter B. So I still have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N.
shoes were off. It's as if she fell asleep on the living room floor for funsies. She jerked up. Lydia? Paul? How the hell was he alive? This felt like a sick joke. She frantically searched every inch of the house, and Lydia and Paul were both gone. Paul had taken her, just like his father had taken Julia. Right then, the phone started to ring, the landline. She knew who it was. Are you feeling okay? Where is she? She's safe. Answer my question. How would I ever be okay, you fucking piece of shit? Look up. Claire looked up to see a small air freshener. It's a cap. There's more. All around the house. Claire realized now why she had never had her own file. He didn't need one. Hidden cameras all over their house, too. She was watched by him nonstop. He didn't need a PI. She confronted him about his dad killing Julia. Paul sounded tired. He told her to check Lydia's phone that he had left charging in the living room. She clicked it open, Lydia's phone, and there was a picture of Lydia in the trunk, tied up, blood dripping from her head, but still alive. Claire threatened to kill Paul. She sees a car full of them, the sheriff. But not just any sheriff. Guess who the sheriff of Athens is? Sheriff Huckabee, the same sheriff that worked on Julia's case. This is his jurisdiction because she went missing in Athens. He's a lot older now, but still. Yeah, anyway. Couldn't remember Lydia called the cops. The cops are here. Get rid of him, or else Lydia dies. And don't hang out. Claire had other things. She hung up, opened the door, and Sheriff Huckabee looked startled to see her. And also kind of curious. It was so random. My husband owned this home. He passed away recently, so you ransacked it? She looked behind her in the kitchen that she destroyed. Why are you here? Emergency call. Was that you? Harrelson. Sorry for wasting your time, Sheriff. What's your husband's name again? Paul Scott. The home is in a trust. Did you know him, my husband? I knew his parents. Good people. And you're sure they're dead? Fortunately, I saw them have two eyes, or at least what was left of them after the car accident. I know what happened to my sister, Sheriff. Your mom. She made me promise not to tell you, Rose. I always wondered that those tapes would get on the internet or something.
What?
She's just throwing out feelers.
Yeah.
How did you find out about it? Your father, when he died, his TV was playing one of those tapes. We took the tape in to a buddy that I had in the FBI back in that day, and we always wondered if there were more copies out there. I guess, yeah, there are. The Masked Man video was part of some ring that made and distributed these videos, but they caught the guy. His name was Daryl Lassner. He was in California back in 1994 for trying to kidnap more girls. Claire was confused now. Was her father-in-law just a weird tape collector, or was he part of it? We have nothing to worry about. Lassner died in prison. The sheriff stated that he had no idea how Sam, her dad, even got a hold of those tapes, but he did, and he made sure the cops found it when he died because it was playing on his TV. The only reason that they did not go public with what happened to Julia was because their mom begged them not to. She did not want their girls to know the truth of what happened. Sheriff Huckabee, the buddy at the FBI that you handed the tapes to, it was Johnny Jackson, wasn't it? He nodded. Johnny Jackson was an FBI agent before entering into politics. He became a congressman, and he was the man that would give Quinn and Scott, the firm, millions, sometimes billions worth of government contracts. He was Paul's little buddy/investor. He was my husband's uncle, on my mom's side. Anyway, I should get going. Thanks, Sheriff. And she slammed the door shut.
Is the husband still on the phone right now, Paul?
Yeah. Well, she hung up on him, so he calls back, and she talks to him. She accused him of giving the tapes to her dad, leading to his death when he reviewed it. He actually told her that he loved her father and would never do anything like that. Paul said it hurt him to know that the full story of what happened to Julia and what his dad did to her, but he could never tell Claire that. He had to protect his dad in the end, and Claire would leave him if she knew the truth, and it would hurt her.
But he stays out right now?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
He said that he had no choice but to fake his death, and he did this to all keep her safe, which is wild. And she screams, "You knocked me out and kidnapped my sister. I don't fucking feel very safe." keychain. Whatever was on that keychain, she thought it was going to be apparently not, okay? She lied and said the police took it as evidence. She could hear Paul get pissed off. Well, Claire, I need you to get it back. Then promise me you won't hurt Lydia. Paul informs her that there are cameras all over the house, and if she does anything, if she calls anyone, he will kill Lydia. He wants to call the landline every 20 minutes for the next 2 hours, and this is going to help ensure that Claire stays in the house where he can watch her, and he can get further away from her. And then he'll tell her what his next plan is, and how she's going to get the keychain tag. But before he hung up, he told Claire that they would get through this. And disgustingly, Claire hated it, but for a second, it calmed her. She desperately wanted him to make it better because that's what he always did. And he told her, I didn't know what my dad was doing until after he passed. I went into the barn and I found all the tapes and all this stuff, and tuition was due, and all I knew was I could make copies and send them out like he did so I could just pay the bills.
Wait, I'm so confused.
So he's saying that he found these tapes after his dad died and he became a distributor just so he could pay bills.
So who is?
Oh, that's what Claire says. But the new movies on your computer are old.
Yeah.
I was just a distributor. I never participated. There's a whole ring of people doing it, making them. And then there's a whole ring of distributors. Who's the masked man then? Just a guy. You're safe, Claire. Always be safe, and I'll make sure of that. What's on the USB? Why do you need it? I just do, okay? I'm trying to protect you, Claire. You are my everything. The people involved in this stuff, they're powerful, they have money, they have influence, and I need to protect you. Yeah, well, if you hurt Lydia, I will hunt you down and burn you to the fucking ground, do you understand? And in the end, he whispers, God, I love it when you talk like that, and he hangs up. Ah! What's going on right now? What's going on right now? So for the next 2 hours, basically, she's a sitting dog. Meanwhile, Lydia's trying to punch her way out of the trunk, like, you know, the headlights or whatever. But everything she could think of, Paul had already made sure that it wasn't feasible. The foreman was already 1,000 steps ahead of her. And if the only person that could save her now was fucking Claire, she was as good as dead. Lydia loves her sister, but not like that, okay? Lydia could not get the images of Julia's tapes out of her mind. There were 6 of them, which means that Paul's dad took his time with her. At one point, she saw Julia look straight into the camera and whisper, help. Meanwhile, Claire found herself back in the garage with all the files. How did he produce these kinds of films, distribute them, or whatever the fuck he did, okay? Did the violence kill his brain? Was he desensitized to it? Claire got on all the private jet and hotel charges. She thought it was for the Congressman Jackson. But Paul was too smart to just abduct girls in his backyard. Maybe he moved poor girls all around the country. Maybe the congressman was involved. Maybe there had to have been an adult that took over when Paul's parents died. He was just 15. There was no way. Someone had to teach him the ropes. Someone had to mentor him. Congressman Jackson's body might fit the bill for the masked man. Both Adam and Paul were too lean to know. She went over to the garage computer and she uncovered something terrifying. Well, a few things. Sheriff Huckabee must be in on it because when she Googled Daryl Lassiter, the guy that he claimed was the one that made the films, The Masked Man, yeah, well, he was black, okay? The man in the movies, the torture videos, was clearly white. So, freaking liar. And there were 3 folders, raw, edited, delivered. She clicked on the delivered. She knew these videos. These were the ones that she saw, the 5-minute clips, the edited ones. And then she clicked on edited. More, hundreds of 5-minute clips. And then she screamed. She didn't even know it was her voice that she was screaming. She had clicked the unedited one, and staring at her on the screen was 3 moles on the left shoulder blade. It was Paul. He had edited the videos to make it not look like him. He was the masked man.
Oh,
He edited the moles out and made his figure look a little distorted. Not only that, in the edited videos, you never hear the masked man talk. When she played it, the one with Anna Kilpatrick, he walks over to her, and in the same southern drawl, he says, tell me you want this. She freaked out when he called again, okay? He knew that she had lied about the USB being in police custody, so she said that it was in a safety deposit box in that bank. She had it hidden. On the phone, she made him promise that he had nothing to do with the actual making of the videos, that he was not the masked man, And the way he said that he wasn't was so sincere, it almost made her believe him. But she was staring straight at the unedited videos. Julia's dad wrote a lot before his death. Even though he suffered a stroke a month before he died and had a hard time writing, he still wrote. He still wrote to Julia to tell her what was going on. He felt confident that once he exposed the truth, the family could move on. Helen would come back to him, they would get remarried, and that was the only way. The truth would set them free. And the truth was, the Scotts were involved somehow. That's what he knew. Paul Scott, yeah. Now, he writes that he needs to do this soon because Paul is going to come over soon and ask for Claire's hand in marriage. He could feel it. But he also knew that Paul was not the type of man that wanted to marry a woman. He was the type of man that wanted to own and control a woman. But that's okay, because when he comes over, Sam is determined to make sure that he will have no ability to lie. He will answer every question until he gets all the answers that he needs, and Claire won't leave him. Sam is plotting something against Paul, something big. Meanwhile, Claire tells Paul that she's had enough of the games, and if he wants the USB, he's going to start playing ball. She wants a picture of Lydia alive every 20 minutes, a new one, and she will let him know what her plans were. Claire had no idea how she was going to save Lydia. I mean, everyone seemed to be in on it. Captain Huckabee, Congressman, Fred Nolan, FBI, everyone. And her husband was the last fucking man, okay? Claire did not have a strong plan, but she knew that she needed backup. So she drove straight to Lydia's house and prayed that nobody was home. He was probably, I don't know, hanging out with Rick or doing something. Either way, she parks her car and as discreetly as possible, like a raccoon, goes up to the porch, digs up his plumber. Got it. A gun, that's her backup. Unfortunately, no bullets, but that's gonna be easier to acquire. She didn't have the details laid out, but the general gist was she was gonna save Lydia and shoot Paul in the knee. I don't know, she didn't think for knees, okay? She's like, wanna blast his knee off. She grabbed the gun and she started sneaking off and she hears noise behind her. Can I help you? I'm sorry, I am Claire Scott, Lydia's sister. Claire wanted so desperately to tell Rick everything because finally someone can help her, you can save her, you can help save Lydia. Just like how Paul always saved her. But she knew that Lydia would never forgive her for getting Rick involved. She would never want Rick involved in something like this.
Or maybe Rick's evil too. Who knows? Nobody here.
So she lied and told Rick that Lydia didn't want to see him. She had relapsed. He looked devastated, but she ran off with the gun before he could try talking. I mean, he got the message. Lydia did not relapse. Something very bad was happening, and it was all Claire's fault, but she gave him one final warning before driving off. Don't call the cops. They're not going to help. They're involved. So are the FBI. Take Dean and go somewhere far from here till we get back. That's all Lydia wants. Just go. And with that, Claire drives off. She was trying to make it to Adams to get the USB, but before she made it home, she was pulled over, courtesy of Fred Nolan, FBI, and agent had pulled her over. She was brought into an interrogation room where she would be questioned for close to 11 hours, losing contact with Lydia for 11 precious hours. The only person that she had a chance to call was her mom, Helen, the same mom who checked out after Julia died, or checked out after Julia disappeared, the one that knew Julia was dead but hid it from her daughters, that mom. Fred Nolan revealed to Claire during the questioning that he kept pondering all the curiosities of Paul's case, you know? What is that? What's so curious? First, that your husband embezzled $3 million when he's already so well off, and why Adam Quinn, a friend since his early college days, would call the FBI on his own for a partner rather than handle it quietly. It wouldn't even be good for business, don't you think? Your company that makes zillions of dollars and your husband could easily pay it off. And or, why would he get the FBI involved to go through all their financials? What are you telling me this for? You know we arrested your husband. I guess he didn't tell you that. We went straight into his office, marched him down in handcuffs. Did you check his computer? What a fascinating question to ask the FBI.
Were you saying they just did?
No, this was back before he died. I just said, did you check his computer? What a fascinating question to ask. Yes, we checked it. This was confirmation to Claire that there was no way Adam was involved. He would never call the FBI knowing what Paul had on his computer. If he was involved, too much risk. You would never want to draw attention to yourself like that. Did Paul slip you something before he died? Are you trying to ask me if we were trying to have sex in the alleyway? Yeah, I guess he was trying to slip me something. He's alive. You know that, right? Your husband is alive.
What?
Claire company. Mrs. Scott, your husband got mixed in with some very, very bad people. He has to go into witness protection in order to testify at trial. My bosses like the idea. Taped him up with squibs, fake blood. He was the one that suggested it happen when you were there. It was actually part of the deal. He wanted you to witness it. But the paramedics, the cops, all undercover agents. Claire couldn't understand. I mean, yeah, she knew the guy was a stab. She had a raging headache courtesy of her husband's punch. But what the hell, the FBI helped? Nolan explains that Paul got caught up on some bad things, and the only reason he was getting off an easier time in going into witness protection was because he was going to testify against a worse guy. And he explains that's how it works in the FBI. You get caught, but you give us bigger fish. We'll take the big fish. Claire could put two and two together. Paul got busted with videos. He tried to play it off that he was just a distributor and he could lead them to the one producing the videos, the masked man. The FBI could have the masked man and Paul would get to testify during the trial. That's before he would have sold them. That's the one he was trying to sell her right now. Nolan also told her that Paul promised a USB drive with the identity of the biggest players involved in the operation. That USB is now gone, and they want it. They believe that Claire has it. Side note, the reason that Fred Nolan has a black eye was because after making his death, Paul punched Fred in the face and got away. So he's on the fucking run. Finally, after hours and hours of this, there was a knock on the door. Helen and the family attorney were able to track him down. Authorities had refused to give up Claire's location all this time, and Claire was now free to go. But before she did, she turned to FBI agent Nolan and said, "You're not asking the right questions. You know that, right?"
Wait, so you're telling me FBI plotted all this and they still got played?
Yeah. But the way it's written in the book, I'm like summarizing it so it makes it sound simple, but it was like really intricate in the book.
Oh, like Paul played it really.
Yeah, there was a whole intricate backstory, but it would take, the book is like 600 pages, guys.
Yeah.
So he wanted the FBI agents to fake his death, and then he had already planned how to get away from them. Yeah, and then I guess like they very underestimated him because he's like, you know,
Yeah.
he's involved in bad stuff, but he's like this geeky, like marketing dude, right? He's not like a macho, like a beat you up dude. Yeah. So he's like, tell me what I should ask. Paul didn't give you the information you wanted. So his life shouldn't be in danger. Meaning if you snitch, your life is in danger from these powerful people that you just snitched on. But he didn't snitch. So he should be on a beach somewhere. Why would he stick around? Claire ran out with her mom and Lydia's phone buzzed. She took it out and there was a photo of Lydia, and she looked worse. She looked like she had been through some shit. Okay, then let me tell you what she's been through. It's wild. All the while, Lydia woke up with a hood over her face, being waterboarded by urine. I'm dead serious. I'm not even making this up, okay? She was being tortured. She had no idea where she was. She seemed somewhere in a cabin. She could hear birds and bees rustling. She was tortured with pee. And the more Lydia realized she could not depend on Claire, it had to be herself that got her out of this. And she was even more pissed to find out that Claire didn't realize that her phone was bugged and Paul was tracking her to Lydia's home. And she had no idea that Claire didn't tell Rick what happened. Instead, she cursed at Claire for somehow getting Rick involved in how she was gonna die. And Rick was gonna fucking die. We're all gonna fucking die. Also, Paul said he can't wait to do what happened to Anna Kilpatrick and the others to Lydia's teenage daughter.
Oh, Lord.
He said, she looks just like Julia. Paul explains in great detail how much fun he had taking Claire away from her. He said Claire was specially special. Every time I thought I figured out Claire, she surprised me. Get this. I was sitting in a meeting one day, and a call. Automated recorded message asking if I wanted to speak to an inmate. I couldn't believe it. Claire was on the other line, normal as ever. Hey babe, how's your day? How's work? Never mentioning jail. I said, speaking the automated message to say you're in jail. Oh yeah, I got here like an hour ago. For what? Oh, I didn't have enough money to pay the hooker, so they called the cops. Can't believe it. She's just selling. She's fucking selling. Lydia wanted to throw up, but it wasn't wrong. Claire was special. She was, but she's not very predictable. Like she always, when you think that you knew what she was gonna do, she just became very unpredictable. Paul went on to explain a few more things that he watched Julia die. He and his dad thought it was hilarious that their mom was out searching as part of the volunteer party, so apparently Paul's mom had nothing to do with this, had no idea what was going on. She was like held to look the poor girl, Julia. Meanwhile, she's in the bar. Julia was tortured for 12 days. Dad kept her alive for her to come home from spring break. He went on to tell her in great detail the disgusting things they did to Julia, and he took joy in watching Lydia throwing up. Paul ripped off her hood, and she adjusted her eyes and realized that she'd been tricked. They weren't in a cabin in the woods. They were back at the Verner house. Back in the garage, the one that Claire had just left.
He's playing on her.
Yeah. Claire asked her mom to move the Tesla to the Marriott Hotel, visitor parking. She would meet up with her there, but she had a couple of things she wanted to get done first. Claire gets on the phone with Paul, and he's upset that she's taken it, and she's upset that he's even upset to begin with. She just wants her goddamn sister back. She lies and tells him that the USB is in a security deposit box at the local bank, but they don't open for another 2 hours at 9 a.m., so she's gotta wait. And he tells her, okay, no funny business. Get that key and bring it straight to the address that I sent. I'll meet you there. Gross. Paul also tells her that he had to come back for her. That's why he's here. Her and the USB drive. He loves her, he says. He lets her talk on the phone briefly with Lydia, but Lydia is like ready to die. She tells Claire, it's okay, I forgive you. And Claire's like, don't say that. Don't say that right now. I'm coming. I'm gonna bring the USB and you're gonna be fine. Meanwhile, Paul hangs up and electrocutes Lydia again with a cow thingy.
Jesus. Wait, where's Adam?
Adam is at home, not picking up the phone. Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Paul is like, I kept all your dad's letters, you know. He would have been a great grandfather. I loved him, your dad. He reminded me of my dad. Lydia wanted to scream. I gotta say though, my dad pissed me off when I got back from spring break. Found your sister in the barn, or what was left of her, right? She wasn't much fun anymore, but enough about my dad. Your dad was smart, really smart. Trust me, he would never have found Julia's body, but he was on to me. I'll give him that. You knew that my dad was somehow involved. Did you know that? Did you know that your dad knew that? Lydia was numb. She didn't even feel shocked anymore. He asked me to come see him the day that he died, you know? He thought that he was going to trick me, tie me up, make me confess to things I didn't want to confess to. Shut up, you monster. Oh, there you are. I thought you were going numb on me. I drugged him. Vodka, sleeping pills. Then I tied him up with bed sheets so there would be no markings left behind. And I wish I had more time with your father. I love videos that I wanted him to watch. I only had time to show him maybe 1, 2, 3. He was screaming too much and I was worried about the neighbors, so I had to, you know. Paul had just confessed to Lydia that he was the one responsible for her father's death. He killed him. Lydia wanted to scream, she wanted to kill him, but she felt numb. But Claire felt all the panic and pain. She was freaking out. She tells her mom that she has a plan. Side note, her mom doesn't really know what the hell is going on. She knows that Julia is dead. She knows that maybe Claire knows that Julia is dead, but she has no idea that Paul is still alive. She just knows that he maybe embezzled some money and that Claire is clearly in trouble. But Claire tells Helen, in 30 minutes, I need you to take Lydia's phone, drive to the bank. Take this phone. I need you to make it seem like I am going to the bank, okay? The Wells Fargo, park the car there and stay until I call you. Helen was nervous, but she said she would do exactly as she was told. Claire set up a call forwarding on Lydia's phone so that if someone called Lydia, it would be transferred to Claire's phone instead. Her mom listened intently, and she looked like the woman before Julia went missing. A woman who was sharp and was there for her daughters and would do anything for them.
She's finally getting it together. Once.
Now that Claire's
The climax.
yeah. Meanwhile, Claire walks into the firm that just opened, Adam and her husband's firm. Well, ex-husband, dead husband. Well, dead but not dead husband. You get it. She needed that USB. She was able to get it back from Adam before to keep the files. He had no idea there were other files in there. Claire didn't even really know what was on there. She needed to find out. She went through every single inch of that USB until she found a password-protected folder that looked like it was, you know how each USB comes with like a manual or something?
Yeah.
It was password protected. She never opened it because who the fuck opens the manual? Oh, side note, Adam tells her why Paul embezzled the $3 million. They cheated 3 times. fucked Claire. So there you have it. It was never about the money.
What the fuck is it about?
Just you fucked my wife, so I'm charging you basically.
Oh, you don't need money?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
whatever. That's weird.
Anyway, I mean, they made it like it all made sense. It was like a whole power play. They were already like tense because Paul was becoming more and more controlling for some reason as time went on, and they were having all of these. They were just butting heads on the direction of the firm. And then he embezzled $3 million, Adam called the FBI in a fit of anger. Even his wife was like, "You're overboarding it. Like you're literally shooting your own foot by doing this to your firm." But he called the FBI in a fit of anger because he has no temper control. And then the FBI came, and then Paul was like, "You know what? I'm gonna fucking tell your wife why I embezzled that $3 million basically." And then he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna pay back, and I will settle the case up in court." But the FBI already found the files on his computer.
What the?
So, anyway, Claire
At the end of the day, he didn't know what the hell's going on.
Claire takes Paul's laptop that was left in his office at the firm and plugs in the USB drive, and she gives it the password. This password, even if she had tried it when she first had the USB, before she gave it to Adam, she wouldn't have known what the password was. Because things are simpler than that. Because the day it all started, the day her sister went missing, it opened, and there it was. 16 spreadsheets, names, emails, addresses, bank information, member since, client list. 800 something men from all over the world. Then one last file. Pictures and hot pictures. Blackmail, proof, whatever you want to call it. Congressman Jackson standing inside the barn, posing with a body that was suspended in the air. They were tying girls up like deer and posing with them like trophies. Hunting trophies. A lot of these men were unclothed from the waist down, and blood was smeared all over their private parts because that's how bad the torture was. Sharon Huckabee was there in a picture. And the girl hanging in his picture, Julia, this bastard, investigated her case. He knew all along what happened to her. He participated in what happened to her. How could he look the family in the eye and tell them that she probably ran away? She created an anonymous email account, entered in the emails of every single news outlet, congressman, local officers, anyone of importance, and attached all the files and had it scheduled to go out in 2 hours. She hopped back in her mom's car, and she realized that Helen had left in the passenger seat the gun, and she had loaded it with bullets for her. Her mom was back.
Oh.
Yeah. She knew Claire was in trouble. She didn't ask questions, but she wanted her daughter to be prepared. Claire started racing back to the child at home with Paul's. This is where he said he was heading, acting as if he wasn't already there. She guessed that he had always been there because Paul was, and I quote, a slave for routine. He used the same bowl for his breakfast, same coffee cup. He needed familiarity. He had to have been there. On the way there, Claire stopped and picked up containers of gasoline. She had a fire blanket in the back of the Tesla, always prepared, thanks to fucking Paul, motherfucker. And now she was ready. She was gonna light this bitch on fire, get him to come out. She would shoot him dead, run into the burning house with the fire blanket, get Lydia out. She doused herself in 4 bottles of water. Was this a good idea? It was also kind of raining outside. Was this a good idea? Absolutely not. But Claire was running on like 2 hours of sleep in the past 4 days, and she couldn't think of a better plan. And the only thing that Paul was scared of was fire. She needed to get him out of the house away from Lydia. Something that would make him so panicked he wouldn't bring out Lydia, like put a knife to her and be like, fuck that, give me the USB, you know? She started pouring gasoline all around the perimeter of the house and lit the whole thing into flames. She walked up to Paul's car. It was cold, so he had been here. She calls him, and the fire is slowly burning. I know it's you in the videos, Paul. I know you're the best man, and I know what's on the USB. The pictures, the client list. I know. I saw it all. Claire, what did you do? Did you just set the house on fire? She could see him through the window, looking up. When she didn't answer, she saw him run out the back, and she had a gun in her hand. But she couldn't shoot. At the end of the day, this was her husband.
Please. Really?
Claire, Lydia's fine, Claire. Put the gun down. Look, the fire won't stay subdued for long. Go ahead and give me the USB drive. I can leave. You can go inside and grab Lydia. And in a moment of weakness, Claire and Paul kissed, and they really started making out. And boom, blood splattered everywhere. outside. Listen, don't ask me how they did it. They explained it really well. I'm like, I'm looking at construction, okay? And before the fire engulfed the entire place, they were throwing out all the tapes that they could manage to grab. Hopefully it would give some of the families closure or rest, answer something. But soon enough, the entire home was engulfed in flames. Claire was filled with rage, though. Lydia had never seen her sister like that. She ran to the back, and Lydia was trying to limp and fall because she's been like fucked up, okay, the past like 2 days. Lydia recognizes the gun in her sister's hand. It's my gun. She saw Paul walking around, and he's crawling away, shaking his head. Claire, you gotta call an ambulance, please, babe. Please. You're a lying piece of shit. Where's Julia? Where is she? Claire, you need to give me help. Okay, honey, this is very serious. Tell me where my sister is. Lydia crouched down and stuck her hand into his gaping wound until she hit the bone and she dug. And he's like screaming animalistic screams. Tell us where Julia is. Claire watched. If he still doesn't talk, we can patch him up and make him last longer. I still have gasoline, we can always burn him alive. Lydia's like hands deep inside of Paul's bones, but she's looking at her sister like, what are you saying? You're like a psychopath. What are you saying right now? Paul tried to reason with Claire. Just look at me, Claire. Claire, please look at me. You're the only one that I ever loved. You're the only normal thing in my life. Please, I love you. You have to see that. I was never gonna leave you. Please. Claire shot him, like grazed his neck. So he's like blood splurting out of his neck. But he's not dead. And she straddles him, literally gets on top of him, pins his arms down so that he can't try to stop the blood flow, and stares him in the eyes while she watches the life drain out of him. Lydia is just sitting in the wet grass, shocked at her sister, because first of all, she doesn't even know who this woman is, and second of all, should she be letting this happen, because this is not something that you mentally come back from, like killing someone like that. But she couldn't stop it. Once he was dead, Claire screamed at Lydia, she's in the well. There was a well on the property. I painted it into the painting. It's included in the city documents. We gotta go. They run like towards the back of the woods. She just had a good feeling. Because the well wasn't being used. And it's like a short little well. So they like are elbows deep. They're digging, and they pull out a locket. The locket had an L on it. Julia liked to steal Lydia's jewelry all the time. Right at the same time that they found her and they sobbed in the rain, the email went out. A global torture ring had been exposed. The investigators found various other women from other countries had disappeared under similar circumstances. Paul found a way to franchise the business. Other horrible people were masked men in different countries. They would give him the footage, who he would sell to his list of clients, and give them commission on their videos. He would also produce his own videos. He was easily making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, all poured into offshore accounts. All of that was seized by authorities, except his $20 million life insurance, which Claire got. She'll get more of the money, probably not hundreds of millions of dollars, but the money that directly detracts from his architectural firm to, Side note, she killed him in self-defense. Nobody questioned it once they realized what Paul had done and his connections. Even police were scared to question it because it looked like they were on Paul's side then. Okay? After this, Claire and Helen were both introduced to Dee. Lydia finally let Rick move in after 20 years. And as for the evil people, they were all being taken down one by one. Arrested, thrown in prison, and outrage was running everywhere. And as for Claire, two things. She liked having family. She liked being a part of Lydia and Dee's life. But she was suspicious of breaking in.
Yeah, of course.
But she was also gonna move on.
She's also what?
Gonna move on. She was going on a date with Fred Nolan. Fred Nolan? He was an asshole, but at least she knew what she was getting with him. And he was one of the few investigators that genuinely wanted justice and wanted to bring an end to the torture ring. And after 20 years, they finally put Julia to rest. That is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter.
Oh, bro.
What do you think of the book? Rate it.
It's good. It's good. It's tense. It's serious. It's dark. It's twisted. It's good. It's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Wow. I was like halfway through, I'm like, man, how are they gonna tie it all up together? Because man, this is getting crazy.
But you know what's crazy? That was crazy over the plot. It's so unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
This was that, but the characters were so well developed. Everything felt, for some reason, it just made sense.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like
Yeah.
so out of this world.
Yeah, it felt like I could see the mental journey that this character took and why they did each action. It didn't feel like out of nowhere, this girl just a serial killer. You know, it's very much like, okay.
And it wasn't to the point. Like the fact that she kissed him, at first I'm like, no, don't be like that.
No, but if you read it,
Yeah.
even the kiss, the way that it's like described,
Yeah.
it's for a moment she's like, this is her safe space,
Yeah.
but it's not.
No, it's
You know,
good.
it's like so good. And I think that she really captures the betrayal really well. And I think what people would genuinely go through, not maybe on this level, but just the feeling of like betrayal and this person, your loved one is coming back and he was this comfort place for you and you're like so torn. You want things to go back to how they were. You want him to be your comfort person again, but they like cannot go back. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you still feel
Suspicious of you? Absolutely. Give me your phone right now. We will go through it together on the camera.
Question.
Yeah.
Why is he keeping all his videos like so publicly?
I think that was like his thing. She just,
He just had truly didn't think she will find it.
yeah. But then maybe it's the best hiding spot is not hidden. Because Claire really wasn't the type of woman to go on his computer and click his work file.
Yeah. Have you checked my work file?
Oh my god! That's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what are your thoughts and what do you guys want me to read next. And make sure to check out Pretty Girls and Parents Letter. I'll link in the description.
I'm so fat. That was so good. That book was so good. I read a podcast about it. Well, not really. Yeah. Irish. Yeah, the sister of my boyfriend. I dreamt about it and Becca. This is no longer in the same cinema. This is just me talking out loud. Is this worth it? Not sure. Let me do a time lapse of this. She was gone, but she used to be mine.
I'm about to read my mail.
Welcome to this week's episode of Faking a Mystery, Faking a Murder. I'm your host, Stephanie Sue, and if you guys don't know, this is like a Monday thing now, okay? We've got the Rotten Mangoes on Wednesdays and Sundays, so it just felt appropriate. I will be doing this 3 Mondays of the month. Let's get into it, because this one is going to be really long. This is a book that I have been, you know what, let me just get started. First of all, we are going to, if you guys are watching the visuals over on YouTube or Spotify, we are making a mandarin orange cake, like a tangerine cake. It sounds confusing, but just like bear with me. It's going to be the tangerine inside the cake, and you cut it, but the tangerine isn't cooked, because who likes cooked fruit? It's a weird recipe. I don't even know how I ended up on this side of the internet. And while we do that, let me tell you what got me hooked on this book. Ellie was the perfect daughter. She was kind of alone. It's called Ben. She was gone by Lisa Jewell. Just you wait, okay? I'm gonna link it below.
Let me talk about the.
Yes, I listened to it on Audible. I read it on Kindle, and I even have a physical copy. I'm literally obsessed. Anytime I like a book,
I'm gonna be my man.
welcome to this week's Bacon and Bacon Mystery, Bacon and Murder episode. Listen, this is our fourth rendition of this. We've already done 3 fan episodes on this K-drama, but it is so freaking good. It's called Marry My Husband. Every single person that I know is hooked on it. My mom's watching it downstairs. My sister's watching it. All the RMT, they be watching this, and everyone keeps telling me you need to finish the drama, Stephanie. Like, actually finish something in your life for once because it's gonna be worth it. So that's what we're doing. But before we get into it, because this must be a long one, in case you still live in 2013 and you have no idea what this show is about, let me catch you up to speed. I'm gonna link all of the 3 previous fan episodes, but like, hopefully this is just a refresher. I cannot summarize everything that happened. Gia is a bestie, okay? She's like the girl that you want to be friends with. She's a girl boss. She's not a gatekeeper, which she wasn't always this way. In 2023, Gia was miserable. She was married to Michael, who is the living, breathing definition. Are you like peeling a sex of a mandarin over there right now? Like, that's kind of crazy. Hey, you know what we should try doing? Eating that in the shower. What? They said it's the best experience. The aroma, the steam. Anyway, Michael is a red flag. I don't even think he's worth the fabric of a red flag. He's more like a tissue paper that you use to wipe off your nosebleed. He would yell at Gia, belittle her. He would always get his way because if he didn't, he was not afraid to use violence against anyone who was probably 60% of his size. He does not follow the weight class rules when it comes to fighting. Also, he definitely just primarily beats women. I mean, he did kill Gia, so there we have it. Michael's a wannabe investor who put Gia in debt just so he could keep buying stocks and spending all day on his ass playing video games. Like, he just wants to buy stocks so that he can tell people that he's a day trader. That's the vibe he gives me. Michael even quit his job to pursue being a finance pro. So now Gia has to work, pay bills, pay off loans, clean the house, keep his horrible parents happy. I'm getting indigestion just at the thought of that, okay? And the only reason she doesn't have kids to worry about is because Michael's balls are shooting blanks. I don't know, sorry, okay? Michael's balls are shooting blanks. BB blank, spark blank, dot. Who's not there? Spark.
Okay.
Yeah, you've never heard that saying?
No, I do.
Anyway, after Gia got diagnosed with terminal cancer, she's pretty much ready to die. She's severely depressed. The only person keeping her going is Stacy, but you know the drill. Stacy and Michael are sleeping together, and they end up killing her. And it's a whole thing, but Gia's not dead. She comes back alive in 2013, and now she's ready to do whatever it takes to not relive the same fate this time. If Gia wants to escape her fate, someone else has to take it from her. So with the help of sexy CEO Richard, Gia manages to get Michael to cheat on her with Stacy. She thinks it's all gonna be over now. They're gonna get married. Michael and Stacy are gonna run off into the sunset. Wrong. Because in the last episode, Michael proposes to Gia despite cheating on her multiple times already with her best friend. So in the last episode, we left off with Michael orchestrating this very elaborate proposal. It's in this giant, beautiful villa, and there's a whole drone show in the night sky spelling out, "Will you marry me?" Gia pretty much has to say yes, because it's all part of her new plan. But what Gia and everyone else knows is that Michael would never go through the hassle of doing this elaborate of a proposal. Back in her first life, he proposed with a Nutella sandwich that had a "marry me," but it said "marry me" instead. He didn't know how to spell "marry me." Yeah, but Richard is doing everything he can to make this as special as possible because it's her birthday. Now we jump back into the story. Michael obviously does not plan this proposal. Richard barely let him lift a pinky. This is for Gia, and just because she has to be engaged to this papa sandwich Sokolov does not mean that she deserves a terrible engagement like last time. So Richard knows Michael is going to propose on her birthday, and he finds his way in. Michael's in the break room at work trying to buy secondhand proposal stuff online like eBay or Craigslist. He's scrolling looking for the cheapest proposal decorations for $32. 30 cents. This is freaking insane. $37. Who pays $37 for a proposal? Richard walks in, sees Michael. He stops. He tries not to roll his eyes, and he ushers him to his office. "You come here." He's tired of this child's play. The company will provide a villa for Miss King's birthday to offer consolation for what happened recently. Consolation? For what manager Kim did to her. Talking about how he left her out of the proposal. Remember that? Bitch boy. Anyway, alright. Oh, it's for that. But a villa for consolation. Normally we do a condo. Oh, we get a condo, but we're more generous this time. Probably because her name went viral with everything. But Michael is eyeing his competition up and down. He just knows Richard's got something up his sleeve. But what? He thinks to himself, he's really in love with her, isn't he? Yeah, it looks like true love. Well, that's too bad. He clearly doesn't know women. Gina only loves me. Yeah. His inner thoughts give him false sense of confidence, and he slaps his hand on Richard's shoulder in an attempt to little boy him. But Richard looks down at his hand, and this man-child, I mean, that is enough for him. Like, at only 1 second of a half-death glare, and Michael immediately pulls his hand back like it's on fire, like Richard's shoulder is a hot piece of coal. Richard doesn't even touch him, but Michael is triggered back to when his wrist almost broke because Richard wanted to know what time it was. Do you remember that? Oh my God, don't grab it like that, you crazy. Anyway, I'm sorry, sir. Michael straightens out his suit jacket, tries to find an ounce of dignity somewhere deep inside of his anus. This is great opportunity then. If you are giving copy, I'm literally obsessed. Anytime I like a book, I have to get all 3 versions, like everything. Ellie was the perfect daughter. She was beloved by her parents, her teachers, her friends, her family. But then all of a sudden, she was freaking gone. She vanished. Now, that you're like, okay, that's not that like new of a subject. Well, her mom, Laurel, is trying to put her life back together. She's trying to go out, date some people, and do all of these things. She gets a divorce from her husband. Her other kids don't really want to talk to her. So when she finally meets a nice man of her own in a cafe one day, she thinks, oh, maybe I'm on track to like live a new life. I've been living in this shell before.
Wait, this is after the dog is missing.
And there's no answers, there's no leads, nobody knows what happened, her body hasn't been found, nothing, it's just so bizarre.
Has this been years?
Years.
So she's trying to get back her life.
Exactly, her and her husband divorced, Ellie's father divorced, and when she meets her new boyfriend, she goes over to his house for the first time and runs into his daughter named Poppy, and Poppy takes Laurel's breath away.
Okay.
Because looking at Poppy is like looking at Ellie. Even the way she talks, even the way she carries herself. It is so bizarre.
So it's the one that you're saying that she looks like her daughter.
Yes, exactly like her daughter. Carries herself like her daughter, her missing daughter that she has no leads about, and her new boyfriend is just here with a daughter lookalike. What are you talking about? I absolutely love this book. It was such a refreshing book for a thriller genre. I think the family drama was very unexpected. It added so much character depth. And I think that all of the thoughts and the feelings that each character had, especially the main character, Laurel, the mom, all of those thoughts and feelings were incredibly believable, which I find to be difficult in the world of fiction because sometimes you have to have those annoying main characters to move the plot along. But this one, it didn't feel like, okay, I get it. Like, you just want this scene to happen, so you did this. It feels really realistic. I mean, there was no unrealistic, cringy dialogue like in most thrillers, and the plot twists, they were written in a way where you think that you know what's going on, and then the twist happens, and it just catches you off guard because you're like, wait a minute. So with that being said, please go pick up a copy. I'm actually going to link like the Amazon and the Barnes & Noble links in the description, but it's also better to get it at like your local bookshops if you have one, or go download it on your little e-readers, or get it on Audible, okay? Anyway, let's get into the story while we make this cake. I'm actually going to start separating the egg yolks and the egg whites into this one. Now, Laurel Mack would say that she had a good life. In hindsight, she didn't think that she did, but she kind of did. When she was going through her life, she didn't think her life was great. That was just kind of her style. She was always one of those people that saw everything as glass half full, glass half empty. She's one of those people all the time. The type of person that would wake up after a long, good 8-hour nap and still be convinced that she did not sleep well last night. She was.
Not for 8 hours.
That was my neck hurts. That was horrendous. She's one of those people, even when that didn't happen. She just was never content. kids are either too loud or too quiet, or they were always out with their friends, or they never left the house and touched grass. She just had a list of complaints. That's the kind of mom and wife and friend that Laurel was. She just had a negative mindset. I think it came naturally to her. For example, she always cooks organic food for her family and her kids. Now you'd think that's like the symbol of a good mom, right? She's like taking time out of her day, cooking all this stuff, but she would never stop complaining about it. She absolutely hated doing it, but she would still do it because she loved her family. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of confusing.
She will do the right things, but she will complain along.
Yes. And she's just, she didn't find joy in being a mom like that in that sense. She didn't find joy in the chores. I mean, who does? But truly, Laurel's life wasn't the most fulfilling. Every chore that wasn't done, every late bill that they had, I mean, it made her miserable. Her personality was the type to get so stressed over these things. And all of those things, they really affected her personality. This is a very roundabout way of me just saying, Laurel was kind of and it's okay to say that because she admits it herself. And she's a fictional character. And she's got a little bit too anal about every little thing. And she has these impossibly high expectations for her husband, her kids. None of them can ever do anything right except Ellie. This is Laurel's youngest daughter. Ellie could do no wrong. She could do nothing wrong. None at all. I mean, she was the definition of a golden child in the family. She was the youngest of the family, the baby. She was beautiful. She had these hazel eyes, light brown hair, and this big personality. Sometimes I feel like her personality was a little bit too big for her little body at times. She was really spoiled, but she was actually so sweet to the point where even if you wanted to hate her, you couldn't hate her. Like one of those people, do you know what I'm talking about? Even her two older siblings wanted to hate her for being the apple of everybody's eye, but they couldn't. She was so bubbly, she was so fun. Like, I feel like I owe you more information about Ellie because she goes missing later, so let's just get into a little bit about Ellie. She was 15 years old when she goes missing, and she had just gotten into her very first relationship with her boyfriend, Theo Goodman. He was the best looking boy in junior class. Like, in year 11, hottest kid. He was like the most popular guy in class. I mean, but he's not the jock that you're expecting. He's not that weird football player that's a little bit too cocky. He was actually one of those popular boys that was also super shy. He didn't even realize how hot he was. He didn't realize how every girl in junior, I know this is fictional, but it feels so weird calling high schoolers hot now. Like, he didn't realize how every girl in junior class felt like he was so freaking hot. He was always on top of his class, and so was Ellie. So they were kind of, the power couple, the naturally attracted to each other couple. They were the hottest, the smartest, the most perfectest kids. And of course, they were going to date. I mean, it would just only make sense that way. But there was a problem. No matter how much Ellie's parents spoiled her, like no matter how much she excelled in every department of her life, she kind of had an insecurity problem. She just didn't feel like she was good enough. Never good enough. And when she and Theo started dating, she felt this immense pressure of, I gotta keep up, but this guy's gonna realize that I'm not that great. So for example, they were in the same math class, and Theo got an A, as per usual, but Ellie got a B+. Listen, math was her weakest subject, and she got a B+, so she's really smart, but it didn't matter. She didn't care that it was her weakest subject. She didn't care that she wasn't naturally good at math. She was devastated. She literally thought, this is it. I don't deserve Theo anymore. He's way out of my league, and he knows it. So we're adding the salt into the egg whites now, and the flour.
Is it mixing or what?
Yeah, it is. Are you kidding? Hold on. Ow, my cramp. Ow. I hate the smell of flour and eggs. It smells like breath, but not like bad breath.
You smell that? Oh yeah, it's like your breath.
Honey, I can't. And look. Oh my god, this thing broke and all the rust went bottle it up. Ellie was the type of girl that never showed any true emotions in school. She was the one that was put together all the time, the smart, pretty girl that had it all. She had to keep it that way. Now, it was January, so there's no need to panic. She's got a few months to the finals, and her grade would be cemented in stone. She needed to do something about it, though, so she would be at the top of the class again. Ellie rushes home, slams the door shut, throws on her backpack, and is like, Mom, my math teacher is shit. Just so, I hate him. Now, just a preface, he wasn't actually, and she didn't actually hate him, but Ellie was a dramatic one. Honey. Now, into this mixer, we are going to add with the egg whites. We're going to throw in the lemon juice, as well as the sugar. I'll be back in a second. Back to the story we go with our little stiff peaks. Now, I just want to say, the math teacher actually wasn't that bad, and I don't think that Ellie actually hated him. She was just very dramatic. But Laurel, knowing this, she decided to entertain her daughter. She says, well, what happened? What happened at school? My math teacher is so bad. I'm literally going to fail my finals. I need a tutor ASAP. Like, I really need a tutor. Now, Ellie dramatically plops herself onto the kitchen chair, and Laurel is looking at her like, is this girl serious? She does not need a tutor, and nor can we afford one. Ellie, we can't afford a tutor. So 1/4, and then we're going to mix and fold it. And now I pour it into the egg whites and I fold, okay? I'm gonna be really quick with this.
Money don't.
Jiggle, it folds.
And then you want to pour it in there. You go ahead, even pour it out on there for even layer. Oh, that's good.
Let me get all the batter.
Then you want to make it. 25 minutes.
And Laurel tells Ellie, like, we can't afford a tutor. Why don't you just join the after-school math club or something? And she's upset, like, but Mom, Christy and Kyle are from my class, and they're way poorer than us, and they get private tutored. Why can't I get a private tutor? Please, I will take some money out of my allowance to help pay for it, please. Ellie, why don't you just ask another student or something? Someone from school that'll do it for a lot cheaper and a slicey cake. Are you kidding, Mom? There is no way you're for real right now. That would be fucking embarrassing. You don't even understand.
Is private tutor cool?
Kind of, yeah. I guess so, but you don't actually want a private tutor because like, they're so annoying. And so with that, Laurel finally pays and she gets Ellie a private math tutor for a couple of months. Ellie spent all of her time studying, getting her grades up, and finally, she felt ready to take on finals. And she tells her mom, Laurel, hey, I think we can stop the tutoring. I'm doing great now. And Laurel honestly felt like she could finally take a breath. Her family budget has been feeling so much pressure for the past couple of months because of this private tutor. So without even any question, Laurel's like, you got it, dude. I'm getting rid of this freaking tutor. And Ellie proceeds to study without her tutor for the next few weeks. It almost became routine for her to visit the local library. Now, for example, okay, to put it into context, Ellie's older sister Hannah is the middle child. And the middle child would always invite her friends over, and Ellie could not focus around these kids. They were so freaking loud. They didn't even study. They were screaming all over the place. So every single Thursday, like clockwork, Ellie would pack up her little backpack, a few books, some essentials, and she would head to the door. Hey, Mom, I'm going to the library. I'll be back before lunch. Is there any lasagna left? Yeah, sweetie, I think there's enough for one. I'll keep it in the fridge. Okay, well, don't let Hannah eat it. You promise? So Laurel promises her golden child the golden last slice of lasagna. And with that, Ellie walked out the door and was gone forever. For the next few hours, Laurel was kind of in bliss. She had no idea that the panic and the doom and the anxiety that was about to descend upon her whole being. She barely noticed that her daughter was gone. They're teenagers. They go out all the freaking time. Now, Laurel's time flies by. She's busy running errands, tending to her husband. But when lunchtime comes around, she notices Ellie is still not back. Has anybody seen Ellie? Hello? Ellie's dad and Laurel's husband, Paul, he says, oh, maybe she's at Theo's, sweetie. No, I don't think so. I don't think she'd be hanging out with Theo this close to finals. Well, I guess I'll just call them just in case. So she called the Goodman, Theo's family. And just as she suspected, okay, I'm telling you, moms know the truth. Ellie was not there.
hugging.
Her heart is squeezing so tight, and with every phone call that she makes, hi, this is Laurel Ellie's mom. Just wondering if Ellie's over there. No, okay, thanks. She hang up on another one, and finally, she decided she had to call the police. Now, this is where it only spirals. Laurel could not believe that this was her life. Like, this is happening to her right now. Not her, Ellie, anyone but Ellie. That's what she's thinking. The night of Ellie's disappearance, the family had been talking to the police the whole day, and they had been outside screaming Ellie's name at the top of their lungs. And by the time that they get home, Hannah looks at her mom and says, Mom, I'm kind of hungry. And she looks at the time and says, oh, yeah, it's 8. Sorry, you must be starving. And together they open up the fridge. And Hannah says, oh, I'll just eat this. And she grabs the Tupperware of lasagna, the last portion. And all of Ellie's last words start flooding back to Laurel, and she rips it out of Hannah's little hands and says, no. Why not? Just no. So Laurel makes her some toast instead and sits to watch her daughter eat. Hannah, her middle child, the difficult one, the exhausting one, the tiring one, the one that's always caused trouble.
This one hurts me. You have to take down you show
Oh
me.
my God, it's the dad who's making fun of middle child. And he says, this is what I feed my first child. This is a 5-course meal. This is what I feed my youngest child. It's a 5-course meal. And this is what I feed my middle child. One can tangerine for lunch, okay? It's not that Laurel didn't love her daughter Hannah. I mean, of course she did. It's her freaking child. She just did not love Hannah as much as she loved Ellie. Ellie was the effortless child, and Hannah was constantly draining Laurel's mental energy. So of course, I mean, in that moment, a sick, twisted thought came to Laurel's mind subconsciously, almost like an intrusive thought, you know? She couldn't stop it, but the thought was, it should have been you that's missing. And it should be Ellie eating toast right now.
Say.
And yeah, I know. You hate Laurel right now. I hated her too. But that's just how she felt. Those were her thoughts. But the more that Laurel waited, pacing the room for good news, more bad news she was getting. CCTV footage from the library confirmed that Ellie never made it to the library. Somewhere along the way on Ellie's walk to the library, something happened. Like something bad. The police did a sweep of the immediate area and they started interviewing all the local sex offenders. I mean, can you imagine? Your 15-year-old child goes missing and the police are interviewing sex offenders? I get it. It makes sense. I'm glad they're doing it. But the conclusions that my brain would inevitably jump to in that moment, it's just not good. And the police say, ma'am, could you please tell us what your daughter was wearing that day? A black shirt and pants, and her hair was up in a ponytail. And Laurel could feel the tears pooling in her eyes. Because she's telling them she was wearing a black shirt and black pants and hair up in a ponytail. There was absolutely no defining features in Ellie's appearance that day. There was no bright rainbow-colored shirt. There was no crazy pink skirt. Nothing. Like, she had virtually been invisible, not noticeable. If someone had walked past her, they wouldn't even know. Nothing was recognizable. So the CCTV camera caught the last sighting of Ellie around 10:43 that morning. She had stopped in front of a parked car and looked into the window. Now, the original theory was that she was checking her reflection. But soon came the sinister theory that someone inside the car was trying to talk to her. So she had gotten up close to the window, and maybe they had communicated something. They couldn't actually see inside the car, so they actually tracked down the owner of the car. Now, the guy had been out of town, and his car had been parked there 4 days on end without ever being moved. Nobody was in the car. Now, that lead was dead. And for days and weeks and months, they dragged on, and there were no good leads. There was no signs of Ellie, no signs of anything. I mean, the police were getting so frustrated at this point that they had no answers for the family, so they gave them the only answer that they always give. Hit it.
She ran away.
Man, I think your daughter simply ran away. You know, we knew that she was a bit of an overachiever. We talked to the schools, exams were coming up. We think that she was so stressed and it was too much for her. The idea of failing her finals, she skipped town. What do you say? Well, then did you check the cameras at the train stations or the bus stops? Or did you find her walking down any other roads apart from the one near the library? No. Well, that's not the point. So Laurel, would always be labeled as this mom in denial, and the police must have some clue if they're going to say that, right? The police must know what they're talking about, right? So with that, the police didn't necessarily close Ellie's case, but they essentially squeezed the living life out of it. Like, they were not putting any disgusted by the reaction that her husband, Ellie's father, gave. This is Ellie's biological dad, and he just says, at least it's some kind of closure, I guess. Yeah.
What?
So that was the moment that their marriage really started falling apart. Like they didn't get divorced in that exact second, in that exact moment, but like it was the ultimate direction. How do you come back from something like that? To Laurel, it was just everybody was moving on but her. Everybody. Jay's the oldest kid, the firstborn. He went on to graduate from university, moved in with his girlfriend, and the middle child, Hannah, she graduated, moved out, got a corporate job. And the husband, Paul, all he was talking about was getting promoted at work, buying new suits. Oh, we should upgrade our car. Let's plan a vacation one day. What? Laura could care less than anything. Like, that's so dumb. What are you even saying? I mean, obviously, it's not like Laurel's family was heartless. They were all really shaken up by Ellie's disappearance. But I think that they were all just trying to move on in their own way. Laurel seemed like the only one that could not live in this new reality. She started falling apart. She stopped cooking, stopped cleaning. She became emotionally unavailable to her husband, to her kids. She stopped being a mom, a wife, just a functioning human being. It's understandable, honestly. But that is when Paul and Laurel decide to get divorced. Laurel gets the house, and she tries to stay as long as she can, just in case Ellie comes back. But after 4 long years, the money, the funds, the upkeep, it was just too much. Just the emptiness alone. Imagine having a family home with all these people bustling about, and then suddenly it's just you. So she sells the house, and she starts renting a small apartment in the suburbs. She gets a job working at a marketing firm, and Laurel never really let herself go. What that means, okay? And nobody would blame her if she did. So I guess let's just say nobody would blame her if she was delusional on the side of the road with her hair crazy, never washing her clothes or showering, right? But she never did that. She was still very clean. Like, she still kept up with appearances. If you passed her, you would never know that something traumatic had happened to her years ago. She just lived her life as an empty shell, though. Her apartment was nice, it was clean, it was furnished well, but there was like no personal touch. It was giving Airbnb vibes if you walked in. There was no, right? And since she did have her family photos, but that was it. Like, she could have just put them in her purse, and that's it. Laurel did not see the point in decorating. Just like anything else, she didn't see the point in anything. She was living her life on autopilot. She would get up, go to work, come home, eat, sleep, repeat, and she did visit her sick mom at the hospital once a week. She would also go to Hannah's city apartment to help her, kind of clean, since, she's busy. Hannah would also always leave money on the table for Laurel, and Laurel would save every single penny of that. She just hoped that she could spend it on her future grandkids one day. Not that any of her kids were expecting anytime soon. So this is when the judgment time comes. Laurel hated her son, Jake's girlfriend, the one that he had moved in with. Her name was Blue, and Laurel felt like she was just controlling and manipulative. She was trying to push Jake away from his family. That's how Laurel felt. And Hannah, well, she had no life. No offense. Okay, no offense. Well, that's what Laurel thought. She's not a social butterfly like Ellie was. She's just kind of a nurture.
What a mom.
What a mom, okay?
She only care about the little.
Yeah. Like, she's thinking Hannah probably doesn't even have a boyfriend after college. And so she came over one week, and she sees these giant bouquet of flowers in Hannah's apartment. She's like, what the fuck? I'm definitely gonna read the note. She snatches the little note out of the flowers, and the card was signed Love T. So Laurel immediately picks up the phone and is like, Hannah, are you at work? What? Yeah, Mom, why are you calling me? Did something happen? Do you have a boyfriend? What? No, what's wrong with you? Well, I'm at work. Well, who gave you these flowers I see on your desk? Just a friend. Jeez, Mom, I have to go. She hangs up. And that was the wildest thing going on in Laurel's life, okay? This was like the drama of her life right now. She just was really living an empty life. Ellie had been missing for 7 years. Everybody else had moved on. And Laurel was just trying to find out if her full-grown daughter had a boyfriend or not. Maybe Laurel could use some peace. But she wouldn't get it because she got a call. Hi, Mrs. Mack, do you mind coming down to the police station? And immediately, it's like she was transported back to that time. Laurel starts feeling the panic, the adrenaline. They were all flooding back into her system. It's like all the time has passed, but no time has passed. all at the same time. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So the police tell her, we've been investigating a site near Dover. A dog walker called us and his dog dug up a bag. Is it the dense part of the woods? Oh, okay. That's great. It's a bag. It's a bag. I mean, it's bad. Don't get me wrong, but it's a bag. It's not a body. It's a bag. It's Ellie's bag. Her backpack that she took with her the day that she went missing. We also found her clothes from that day. Her black shirt and a pair of jeans, white sneakers, and her sweater that she packed. Inside the bag, we found some household items, her old house key, a textbook, a pencil case, some tampons. We don't really think we want to show you the tampons because they were swollen from the damp moisture of the woods and they just look obscene. But there's more, Laurel. We found a small laptop and a passport. It's not Ellie's passport, but did you know that your daughter Hannah was missing a passport?
What?
So we have a theory, Laura. Our theory is that she may have been on her way to Europe. Now this is in the UK, right? So Europe is not as far as this the US. Given the passport, and wait, what? You think that she tried to run away? But her bag with the things that she had, that's not a runaway go bag. You just said that she had some clothes, textbooks, and a tampon. That doesn't make sense. Even a 15-year-old, if they're trying to run away, they'll pack a lot of stuff. Ma'am, we've analyzed the evidence, the clothing, and there's evidence of intense wear on the clothes. So she did run away from home and she was alive. That is our theory. Okay, well then if she ran away from home, where is she now? We're still looking for her. And Laurel's mind starts racing. She tries to think of anything that could help, like anything at all. And she's standing there and she's, a few years ago, right after Ellie was missing, my home was burglarized. It was weird, really weird, because there was no signs of forced entry. It looked like someone had a key to the house or something, and nothing was ransacked. The thief took some weird things, an old laptop, some of Ellie's cash, an old cell phone of Paul's, and some Art Deco silver candlesticks that we got at our wedding, me and my husband, well, my ex-husband, at our wedding, decades ago, and they're from like a rich couple that we're not even friends with anymore. Oh, and my daughter Hannah had baked cake, and that was gone. Isn't that weird? I thought it was Ellie all those years ago, coming back. She didn't take anything of value that was in plain sight, like my jewelry. Instead, she took an old computer and some of her own cash, like no credit cards. I feel like I felt her. I feel like that was her. I mean, she had a key, which is the one that you found in her bag. So it must have been her, right? So if she was in the house just a few years ago, then there's still a chance that she's out there. That's what that means, right? That means she's not in Europe. That means she's probably nearby. Laurel realized that she was talking to herself in the interview with the police. Paul was sitting there just looking at the ground. The police were just looking at everyone was treating her like the crazy mom, honestly. And she knew that she would be on her now. Everyone moved on really quickly. Paul even moved on shortly after the divorce, and he had a pretty good girlfriend, just like that. And here was Laurel, 7 years later, life on pause, working a stupid job, filling her days with mundane activities just so she doesn't, die. But she was dead inside. I guess the police felt bad enough for Laurel, and on the 10-year anniversary of Ellie's disappearance, they organized a very public appeal. And it was like, pretty much, please, we need any witnesses to come forward with any information on the disappearance. Laurel and Paul came together to do interviews. The editors threw in clips and videos of Ellie living her best life before she vanished, but nobody came forward. Laurel didn't even know if she had any hope left. So the summer comes and goes, and then something terrible happened. Laurel got another call from the police. This was the worst news possible. They had found a body. Well, some of it. Ellie's remains were found in the woods near her backpack. That was found just a few years earlier, and the police believed Ellie had been hit by a car. Her broken body was dragged into the woods, buried in a shallow grave. So she had run away, and someone had hit and run, essentially. So they buried her in the woods. And for years, animals and the environment took a toll on her and just scattered the bones throughout. All the police that found were her parts of her skull, her femurs, and her tibias. But at least the family could bury her, right?
How did they know it's her?
I believe some sort of DNA test. It was a super public funeral. I mean, this was a well-known case in town. Everyone showed up to show their support. Laurel had no idea that someone very special was watching her from the very back row. The that she could be like this. She even scheduled my haircut. She chopped off a bunch of her hair. She wanted to go shoulder length, feel lighter. And you know what? Let's do a blowout. Why not? Now, side note, Laurel was very attractive. She was 54 years old, and even though she was grieving, she did put effort into making herself look put together, right? At least appearance-wise. Now, back to the story. Laurel leaves her hair equipment and goes to a nearby coffee shop. She's hungry. She orders grilled cheese and a decaf cappuccino. She eats her sandwich in peace. And as she's about done, she notices a man walk into the coffee shop. Listen, she notices because the place is like empty. And well, yeah, he was hot, he was handsome, he was nicely dressed. And he was wearing these like tortoise shell glasses. He just looks so artsy, like an artist or something. Maybe an architect. The guy kind of even dressed like Paul, her ex-husband. I don't know. Both of them kind of just gave off that professor vibe or something. I guess Laurel has a type because she thought that this guy was cute. She watched him. He ordered a little carrot cake and black coffee and sat at the table directly next to Laurel's. This is like a big round table kind of situation, and the whole place was empty, and he sits right next to Laurel, and she's like, okay, what's going on? She hadn't been this physically close to an attractive guy in so long. She didn't even know how to react. She chugged her cappuccino, and she's like, gotta get up, gotta go now, right? She hears his voice. You have beautiful hair.
Oh, what a great pick.
Oh, really pretty. Thank you. I just had it done. It doesn't normally look this good. Well, it looks good. You ever had this carrot cake before? No, just had a grilled cheese. Pretty amazing. Would you like to try some?
Open your mouth.
Airplane. No, thank you. I gotta go. I have a clean spoon right here. Come on, I'm never gonna finish this. And this is how Laurel meets Floyd. She sits down, she takes a nibble of the carrot cake, and she's like, what's your accent? Oh gosh, something happened. She said, oh, Floyd says, oh gosh, what is it my accent? My parents were very ambitious Americans who chased jobs and money all throughout the world. 4 years in the US, 2 in Canada, another 4 in the US, and then 4 in Germany, a year in Singapore, and then 3 in the UK. And my parents, they went back to the States, but I stayed. Oh, so have you been here a long time? Which, by the way, side note, like, I use her to work for not doing the British accent for the entirety of this video. I'm just saying. That's right here. It's about to come out. 37 years! I have a British passport, British children, and a British ex-wife. I am fully assimilated. So Laurel starts laughing, but she stops abruptly. She's like, hello, Laurel? Or to Laurel, what the fuck is going on here? You're sitting at a cafe giggling with some guy that you just met and you think is cute. Shouldn't you feel a little guilty or something? Like, am I moving on right now? This is crazy. So he asks her, do you live around here? No, I used to. I moved a few years ago into the suburbs, but my hairdresser is here. Total phobia of letting anybody else touch my hair, so I come here every single month. It was nice meeting you, though. I better get going. Oh, you have to leave? Yeah, I'm gonna actually go see my daughter. That was a complete lie. Laurel never saw Hannah. Hannah actually didn't like her mom that much. Oh, you have a daughter? Yes, and a son. I have 2 girls too. One's 21, the other one is 9. Do they live with you? The 9-year-old does. The 21-year-old lives with her mom, and it's complicated. And with that, Floyd tore off the corner of the newspaper on the table, and he scribbled his number on there and passed it to Laurel. He says, I really enjoyed talking to you, but it hasn't been that long. I'd like to take you out to dinner if you'll call me. That's a good one. Why don't you use that one on me? That's a good one. That's a good one. Like, I like to take you out to dinner.
Okay.
So Laurel, she's shocked. She was baffled, honestly. I mean, it was just so unexpected. After all these years, she had never felt something for a guy until this very second. And a few days later, it's like her hands had a mind of their own. She found herself beating people up, dialing up Floyd, and setting up a date. Now, very quickly, the excitement goes out the door, and just sheer anxiety creeps in. Laurel had not been on a date in decades. I mean, she had not been on a date with her husband Paul when they were together, but she had been separated from him for like a decade. I mean, it's been forever. She didn't even know what to wear, how to act, how to talk. So that night, Laurel picks up Ellie's photo and tells her, I'm going on a date, Ellie, with a nice man. His name is Floyd. I think you would like him. And Laurel could almost hear her daughter replying in her little bubbly voice, That's awesome, Mom. Just have fun. Happy for you. This is the poll that I'm going to be using. Listen, nobody promised organization. Wow, okay.
See the color.
Wow.
Nice.
That is really nice.
Very nice.
Okay. So now you're going to fill your tangerines. These tangerines are going to be the end of this recipe. They don't feel good. And Laurel did have fun. He took her to this really nice, fancy restaurant. It wasn't super fancy where she would suddenly feel very uncomfortable, but it was elegant. And he was already there when she got there. She got there 2 minutes late. He was on time. Oh, gotta love it when people are on time. I'm never on time though, so she had an absolute freaking blast. He was complimenting her the whole time, telling her that she looks elegant. He even asked her, do you like spicy food? She says, of course I do. Oh, thank God. I only really like people who like spicy food, so that would have been awkward. And the two of them start chit-chatting. Floyd, he's a smooth talker. He says, tell me about your kids. Well, Jake is 29 and Hannah is 27. And she did not get into the conversation about Ellen. He says, oh my God, you do not look old enough to have kids that age. I thought maybe teenagers at the most. That is insane. I have you at like 40 something. You look great. And she's like, oh, thank you. Well, tell me about your kids. Well, the oldest is 21. She's Sarah Jade. I wanted to call her Sarah Jane, and my ex-wife wanted to call her Jade. So it's a pretty simple compromise. I call her Sarah, my ex calls her Jade, and she calls herself Sarah, and she calls herself SJ. She's a bit unusual though. I guess, I don't know how to describe it. I guess you would just have to meet her. I had her with Kate, my ex-wife, and when we got divorced, we had shared custody. So these days, SJ is mainly doing weekends with me and the weekdays with my mom. And we're like, I have a daughter. What was her name? Oh, Poppy. And Laurel could see that his face changed. When he talked about SJ, he was just kind of like, oh man, I don't know what's wrong with this girl. But when he talked about Poppy, he's like, Poppy is my jam. Poppy is the best kid alive. She's fantastic. So we're going to make a quick little whipping mix. I didn't know this, but all you really need is heavy whipping cream and some sugar. 1 cup heavy whipping cream. Then 2 tablespoons of the sugar.
And a quick whip it.
A little quick BDSM session, and you are ready to go. Your cream is going to be creamy.
Okay, come on. Come on, they're too close for a reason.
Listen, accidents happen, and you should know that. Sorry, that was really gross. Now the question is.
Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, first of all, you know how they place the orange and how they roll? No. Like, wrong side.
Okay, I just have for all of them here. Placing the tangerines. You don't understand. There is so much stress in this.
Oh boy.
Oh my.
It's very cake. And then you want to put it into the fridge for an hour. And that's it. That's your beautiful creation, baby.
Thank
You
you.
succeed there or no?
I think so. I mean, I guess we don't know until we try it. So I'm assuming it's gonna taste something like this, but cold, right? So let's.
Okay. That sounds good, Don. Come on. What? Cake, whipped cream, and tangerine.
Oh my god, the cake are so good. Wow.
That's pretty good.
I'm kind of shocked.
Oh.
I couldn't live on it.
Wow.
Laurel could see Floyd's face light up whenever he talked about Poppy. He would say, Poppy is amazing, you know, she's insanely bright at math, has the driest, wickedest sense of humor. I mean, she takes no shit from anybody. She really keeps me on my toes. Reminds me she will wipe the floor with me, and in all respects. Now, the two, they were not the same mother. Poppy's mom was an admirable relationship that kind of ran its course, if you see what I mean. Poppy was Atlanta, far from it. We did try for a while to be a normal couple, but we never really quite managed to pull it off. And when Poppy was 4, she vanished. And Laurel nearly choked on her food. Did he just say vanished? Vanished? Yeah, dumped Poppy on my doorstep, cleared out her bank account, abandoned her house, her job, never to be seen again. What do you think happened to her? To Poppy's mom? Christ, I have no idea. She was a strange woman. She could have ended up literally anywhere. Do you ever think she's dead? And in that moment, Laurel realized how dark of a question that was. She saw Floyd's face change, and he said, oh, who knows? I guess, Listen, other than this very awkward conversation, the rest of their date was fantastic. And when Floyd asked her out on another day, Laurel agreed pretty eagerly. They went to another local restaurant that Laurel had been dying to try, but her ex, remember Paul, he never wanted to go because it had a 3-star health rating slap on the front door, and he was like, that's nasty, but she wanted to try it. So she said, they have a 3-star health rating, right? Floyd says, well, hygiene's hygiene. I've never had a dodgy tummy after eating here, and I've been coming here for years. These people, they know what they're doing. And just like that, Floyd and Laurel had another amazing date. Floyd opened up about himself, and he had a pretty interesting but kind of sad childhood. His parents were incredibly young when they had him, just 14 and 16 years old when he was born. They were so scared. They were holding this baby in their arms. They have not even the slightest idea of how to raise a baby. So what do? They sneak off into the middle of the night and plop him in front of an orphanage and run out on the doorstep of an orphanage. But a few days later, his parents changed their mind. They decided, you know what, I do want my baby back. But of course, the system is not just going to give them their kids back. First of all, they were way too young. They had already abandoned Floyd once. I mean, it took Floyd's parents years of working hard, being able to prove that they can financially provide for that child, advancing in their careers to be able to get custody of Floyd back. And with everything they learned, they remained incredibly motivated, disciplined, and they just kind of threw themselves into their careers. They started making good money and even traveled the world as a family. Listen, Floyd's parents weren't bad people, they weren't bad people, but they just weren't good parents. Maybe they were too young. Their version of disciplining their child was crouching down to Floyd's eye level and saying, hey, little me. Yeah, you keep that up, and we're going to drop you right back off of the orphanage. You want to go back there? And I think so. Shut it. And he would. And also another thing was that they really only just gave him money. They didn't show him, warmth or parental love. They just threw money at him whenever he needed anything. They were emotionally unavailable. And with all of that moving around, it didn't help Floyd because he doesn't even have any emotional attachments to anyone. He was so lonely. But in the end, it kind of worked out because he got a hefty inheritance. His parents were loaded. So Floyd used it to invest in real estate like his parents had told him, and he started writing his little books on the side. The guy's an author, and he doesn't just write regular books. The guy writes math books. What? Sounds like he writes textbooks, right? I mean, someone's got to write them. No kidding, he doesn't write textbooks. He wrote a book called Bad at Math, but it was less of a textbook and more of a funny comedy math book, which was, that doesn't exist. What are you even saying? Only math people would think math is funny.
That is fascinating.
But it's not funny. I've never been looking at a problem, but
Math is fun. Math is fun. Yeah.
No, but it's like the Math Olympics.
Oh yeah, I love it. And that was the course I take. Oh, so fun.
Well, now you know who's the fun part of the duo. I'm kidding. So he had this math book of analogies of life and math, and the book did pretty well amongst math folks. I'm sure my fiance has like 100 copies somewhere hanging around. And Floyd even did some book signings around the United Kingdom, which was a little bit of thing for him. And then he met Poppy's mom. That's how he met Poppy. And then had Poppy, and she vanished. She left him as a full-time single dad. Anyway, all of this comes up during the second date, and Laurel is moved. I think that originally she thought that she was dealing with just a hot guy, but now she realizes she's dealing with someone that has a lot of experience. doing the, what do you call it? Make a 90 degree in my bed. Wait, no. Make a 180 in my bed. No, you can do a 360 on this bed. So she's like, yes. And she was so shocked to see how it's similar. Floyd's house was her old family house. It was a Victorian style home with these Dutch gables, small little balcony on the front porch. The entrance had a tiled hallway, the wide staircase, the banister that ended with a swirl. I mean, it's just like her old house. And when they turned the corner, Laurel saw SJ, Floyd's oldest daughter, sitting in the living room. Now, SJ was a petite, frail-looking 21-year-old. Her face looked permanently nervous, and her hair was almost so blonde it looked white. Laurel, this is my daughter SJ. SJ, this is Laurel. Oh, hi, nice to meet you, SJ. Your house is lovely. And Laurel comments to Floyd, hey, like your house really looks like my old family home. It's almost identical. And he shuffles around a bit, and he looks a little bit nervous. And he just blurts out the weirdest comment to make it a moment like this. I know that, Ellie.
Who said this?
Floyd.
What?
And Laurel is clearly taken aback. I mean, she kind of figured that he would have known because it was such a high-profile case. And when you start dating someone, you do Google them and stuff. But Laurel's face was everywhere. She did interviews. She had posters. It still caught her by surprise. Sorry, but you knew that I knew, right? Didn't you? Yeah, I mean, I guess it occurred to me. I would have said something sooner, and I was on the verge of talking about Ellie, but I didn't think it was first date kind of small talk. I'm an idiot. I should have just waited for you to tell me when you were ready. Yeah, no, I understand you didn't think. So Laurel's like, no, it's fine. I'm ready to talk about it. And they did. They talked about it for hours. It was 1 a.m. by the time that Laurel and Floyd were done talking. SJ had already left to go out with friends, and Poppy, Floyd's 9-year-old daughter, was asleep. So around 1 a.m., after this heart-to-heart opening up about Ellie, Floyd leads Laurel upstairs. Yeah, and he gives her the right angle, you know? They make a perpendicular, then they were at one point going parallel. Oh my god, at one point they were doing this weird one. It looked like a hexagon, you know what I mean?
It was all in the book.
It was all over the book. And at one point it was like squared.
Wow.
Yeah, And then
It's a must read.
afterwards they had some ties. They had it, Laurel gets laid, and apparently it was the best sex of her life. And you would think, after such a strong bonding moment, the best sex of her life, Laurel would wake up in the morning to the smell of pancakes or to Floyd cuddling her, right? No, she opens her eyes, she's alone in Floyd's bed, and the first thing that she sees is a little girl hovering over her, staring directly at her, and Floyd is nowhere to be found. The little girl says, "Good morning. Are you Laurel?" "Yes, I'm Laurel, and you're Poppy, I'm assuming?" "Yes, I'm Poppy." And she smiles, and she's got this crooked teeth and these little small dimples on her left cheek, and Laurel suddenly feels faint. She feels like she's staring at this little girl, and it feels like her breath is being knocked out of her, taken straight out of her. She doesn't want to say it, but the dimple, the forehead, the heavy-lidded eyes, the cocking of the head while she's speaking, Poppy is the spinning image of Ellie at just 9 years old, and her mind is blown. Listen, Laurel is used to seeing girls that somewhat look like Ellie all the time, especially when she was when Ellie had first disappeared. It would get to the point where Laurel would even chase you down the streets, "Hey!" and then grab them by the shoulder, and they would whip around like people in movies, and she'd be like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were someone else." And each time her breathing would get fast, and she would get these butterflies. But it was kind of like this. Staring up at Poppy, the resemblance was insane. And she smiled down at Laurel. "Anything I can get you? A tea? A coffee?" And Laurel's even more confused. Why is this little 9-year-old talking to her like an adult? Why is she being the perfect hostess? What is going on? Yeah, a coffee, please, if that's okay. Dad said you were really pretty. And you are. This is the slickest little 9-year-old. I bet Floyd paid her a clap. But other than that, there is something wrong with Poppy. She's wearing this blue dress with these navy tights, these navy leather pumps, and her hair dress, but it was like an Easter outfit. Why is she dressed so formal? Laura would soon find out that that was Poppy's style. She always wore clothes that just felt too formal, and for some reason, maybe it's because she's 9, it just added a touch of unsettlingness to Poppy. But honestly, it could have just been a result of Floyd being a single dad. It felt like he took her to whatever bougie children's store there was and bought the entire outfit that was on the display. Like on the mannequin. Okay. No school today, Poppy? Oh, no school any day. I don't go to school. Dad teaches me. Oh, has he always taught you? Yeah, always. You know, I could read full chapter books by the time I was 3, and I did simple algebra at 4. There was no normal school that could really cope with me anyway. What? And even the way Poppy laughed was not in like a childlike
How
way.
is that possible?
Yeah, but rather like a young woman. It was weird. Can I interest you in some granola and yogurt maybe? A slice of toast? And Laura is sitting there like, what the fuck? And Floyd walks into the room and he seems delighted to see that the two have met. And Poppy scoots out, getting the hint, and Floyd eagerly sits on the edge of the bed. Well, what do you think? What do you think of my Poppy? Isn't she magnificent? Laura gives a weak smile. The whole situation just felt odd, just strange. She couldn't really put her finger on it, like what is making me feel this way? But it was weird. Don't worry, Laurel, it's only gonna get weirder. The couple decided to part for the day, and they arranged to meet the next day at Laurel's apartment for the date. And she was so nervous, it had been so long since she had guests over. She made a huge fuss of cleaning the entire place, cooking. She went way too many ingredients. She got a variety of desserts because she couldn't just choose one. And as she's prepping, her phone dings on the counter. She wipes her hands on the apron, makes her way over, and it's Floyd. Mayweather. She's like, wow, love triangle. It's a text message. And he says, disaster. SJ bailed on us to babysit. I can either come with Poppy or we can reschedule. Your call. So sorry. I was like, okay, breathe. I mean, she's annoyed. Can we blame her? She even changed the bed sheets for this. She was ready to, But I guess, if she's being optimistic, she would like to get to know Poppy a little bit better. She's a weird kid. And like I said, she looked just like Ellie. The resemblance was creepy. So she invites Poppy and Floyd to come over that night. Poppy's wearing a knee-length black velvet dress with red shoes. And again, it's this uneasiness when a 9-year-old is not looking like a 9-year-old. Well, Poppy, don't you look fancy? Please come in. And both of them, their eyes immediately go to the family photos at the front door. And you know how kids are. They say the damnest things. They say things that adults would never say. Sometimes I think kids say that their adult told them to say. Because Poppy goes in for the kill, and she says, do you have any pictures of your ex-husband? My ex-husband? No, not on display, but I'm sure I have them somewhere if I can find one. What's his name? Paul. What's he like? Little smile. She looks at Floyd, like, hello, help me. Your daughter's like, little bitch, come on, get her. And he's looking at her like, yeah, answer the question. What's he like? Like, okay, this guy is not gonna save me. He is lovely, actually. Really nice man, very gentle, very kind. Then why did you guys break up?
Where you gotta have some skills dealing with a kid. I just tell them, shut up or you're getting kicked out right now.
Kicked out right now on the street. I'll call you an Uber.
Yeah, like,
Come on, get out of here. Well, we changed. We wanted different things, and the children grew up, left the house, and we realized that we didn't want to spend the rest of our life together. Well, did he marry someone else?
damn.
Not quite. They just have a girlfriend, and they do live together. Oh, is she nice? Do you like her? I've never met her, but my children say that she's very sweet. Finally, Poppy seems satisfied. Listen, I know she's fine and we shouldn't judge, but why is her vibe so weird? Like, why is she so intense and she's not picking up these social cues? Laurel pours herself and Floyd a glass of wine because, I don't know about him, but Laurel needs it after this interrogation. And Floyd's like, do you have an extra glass?
No way.
For what? Do you don't like the wine? Do you want a different one? Oh, it's for Poppy. Oh, sorry, I didn't think, I guess it's the French way, right? Yeah, grab it. No, it's just, I let her have only champagne and only a sip or two on very special occasions. So, there you go. A 9-year-old that interrogates like she's on the next season of Mindhunters, dresses like a rich 20-something-year-old, and talks like a middle-aged adult that seems and drinks more than I do, apparently. So of course, Laurel thinks Poppy is weird, but almost out of this curiosity, right? So she says, so Poppy, tell me about homeschooling. How does it work? Just like real school, I sit and learn, and then when I've learned, I relax. Well, don't you ever get lonely? Don't you wish you had kids your own age to hang out with? Oh no, never. Slade says, my Poppy is basically 40 years old. You know how you get to 40 and you suddenly stop giving a shit about all those stupid things that you were worried about your whole life? Well, Poppy's already there. Yeah, when I have kids my own age, I tend to roll my eyes a lot, and I look at them like they've lost their minds, which really doesn't go over well with them. They think I'm a bitch, but whatever. So Poppy shrugs and takes a big chug of champagne. Listen, I would be terrified if a kid like this, or any kid really, was sitting across from me. And this is given like some type of orphan, you know, yeah, that's what it's giving, horror movie vibes.
Better not be another orphan.
Well, we don't know. But either it's the maternal aspect that's lacking, or I don't know, right? Laurel just can't help but feel connected to Poppy. Maybe it's because she looks like Ellie. Now, Laurel wants to know more about Poppy, and honestly, she can't stop thinking about her. So the next day at work, Laurel approaches a coworker and tells her everything about last night. And she's like, it's weird. Like afterwards, she wanted to help me with the dishes, and she reorganized my apartment. She went to the couch and did the pillow trapping thing. Like, she was, what? It was weird. She was helping me clean out the fridge. Like, what kind of kid does that? And the coworker was like, oh, she's got classic only child syndrome. You don't know? Because you have 3 kids. Listen, you have more than one kid, they're fine. But you have just one, oh, she's daddy's little girl. She's a little too spoiled. It's not that weird. She's just one of those girls. And suddenly, Laurel feels a little bit better. You know, she feels a little bit more at ease. Maybe she doesn't be just judgmental. It's always been in her to judge. And with this confirmation, Laurel starts seeing toys more and more often. They even spent an entire weekend together, going out to eat, taking Poppy to the movies. Everything was going great. Time was flying by, like one of those montages in the movie where everything is going too well, and you just know something is going to hit the fan soon. Well, for Laurel, it was her birthday. I guess it was their birthday. Laurel and Hannah, her daughter, had the same birthday. Now, it has been a while since the whole family actually came together to do something. And Laurel feels like this perfect year. I'm a new changed woman. I've moved on. Nobody's gonna pity me at the dinner table. Everyone's gonna, oh, poor Laurel's still alone. It's perfect. So she calls up Hannah. Hey, honey, what do you think of organizing a family dinner for all of us? Mom, what do you mean all of us? I mean you, me, Dad's new girlfriend, I guess, and Jake, and his girlfriend, Bonnie, Blue, yeah, Dad's girlfriend, Bonnie, okay, Blue, and yeah, and you have a boyfriend, you can bring that? That sounds awkward. That doesn't sound like something I want to do, Mom. I know this is going to be weird. You're going to meet Poppy for the first time in 6 years that they've been dating, and you want to do it in front of all the kids and all of our parents. That's weird, Mom. No, sweetie, it's not going to be awkward because your father and I are not going to let it be awkward. And you should invite the nice boy who saved those flowers. Mom, I told you those flowers were from a friend. Can you just drop it already? And stop trying to invent a boyfriend for me. There is none, okay? Okay, fine. Yeah, sorry. Okay, fine. I'll arrange it, Mom. But if this is all the show and it's a hideous disaster, I'm going to blame you for the rest of my life. She's like, okay, well, I'm okay with that. And with that, Laurel, of course, invites Floyd and Poppy for the family lunch. Now, there's only one problem. Poppy dresses weird, and it's weird. Like, it's really freaking weird. The family's gonna be like, what's wrong with this kid? This kid is not kidding. It's not a kid. So, Laurel doesn't want her family to be unsettled. Before the lunch, she takes Poppy on a girls' date to go shopping. Poppy actually ends up liking to dress like a normal 9-year-old. She likes it. She's like, I'm not vintage, man. It's nice. They even grab lunch afterwards, and while they're waiting for their food to get to their table, they start chatting it up. Laurel's like, so, Poppy, what about your sister? Do you guys get along? Are you guys close? Close-ish? I mean, we're really different. How? Well, she's an introvert and I'm an extrovert. She's good at art, I'm good at math. She cares about everything, I care about nothing. She's humorless and I'm, well, hilarious. And she's not close to Dad and I'm super close to Dad. And at that point, the waiter comes over with their food and Laurel zones out on the ketchup bottle and she suddenly flashes back to a moment where in the past, she had taken young Ellie to this exact restaurant. And in this brief moment, Poppy is Ellie. And she starts blinking and breathing heavy, and she looks again, and Poppy is now Poppy. Definitely not Ellie. But what a bizarre moment. So, Laura, what did you do today? I visited my mom in the hospital. You have a mom? Yes, of course I do. Everybody has a mom. Well, I don't. Well, maybe not one that you see, but you have a mother somewhere. If you can't see something, it doesn't exist. Now, Poppy, that doesn't make sense. What about New York? I can't see New York, neither can you, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, now does it? That doesn't count. We can see New York on 1,000 live streams right now. We could call someone up in New York and ask them to send a photo, but my mom, well, I can't see her on a webcam or even in a photo. I can't even call her up. I can't even go see her remains in a graveyard. She just doesn't exist. Well, would you like her to exist? Do you miss her? No, I never even think about her. I hate her. Why? Because she hated me and she was mean, ugly, and neglectful. Well, Poppy, she couldn't have been that ugly if she had a daughter as pretty as you. She didn't look anything like me. She was horrible. That's all I remember. Horrible. And she smelled like fries. Fries? Yes, her hair. It was red. And it smelled like fries. Laura thought it taken aback. She can't imagine Floyd ever being with someone whose hair smelled like fries. But she's curious. Maybe that's his vibe. Maybe that's his style. And like, I'm not that style. I don't smell like fries. So Laurel, she's like, how do I compare with a redhead that smelled like fries? And she probably shouldn't have done this, but she can't help it. And she asked Poppy, would you say that your father was happier then or now? A simple yes or no would have sufficed, right? But not with this 9-year-old. Poppy takes this as an opportunity to go down on a full rant. She says, what does happy even mean? We're here for no reason, you know that? People try and make that there's a greater purpose, a secret meaning, that it all means something, and it doesn't. We're all just a bunch of freaks. A bunch of stupid, inconsequential freaks. We don't have to be happy, we don't have to be normal, we don't even have to be alive, not if we don't want to. We can do whatever we want as long as we don't hurt other people. Wow, that's some philosophy you got there, kid. You're a very unusual girl, aren't you? Yes. Okay, good for you, Poppy, but I'm getting scared instead of you. God. So fast forward to the birthday lunch, Laurel finally dresses up for once, and even her own daughter is super impressed. I mean, everybody is. Floyd and Poppy are the first ones at the restaurant, and soon Paul and his girlfriend Bonnie get there. Laurel was nervous that meeting Bonnie would be awkward. And I guess Paul and Laurel really become a good friendship because Bonnie has only heard kind things about Laurel. She literally hugs her, runs straight up her, gives her a bear hug, and she's like, I never seen anything personally. It's about the same time we met. Nice to meet you. They just immediately clicked. Paul and Floyd's meeting was a success too. They immediately bonded over the fact that they were wearing the same socks. Everybody seemed super relaxed, super happy, except for Jake, the eldest son's girlfriend, Blue. Now, Laurel hated Blue already. She thought to herself, of course she's grumpy. Jake probably had to argue with her for days to even get her here. Laurel's really judgy, okay? But Blue's not that bad. There's a reason that she's grumpy. Anyway, the whole thing is a success. And at the end, Poppy stands up, waiting to do the toast to the birthday girls. And she stands up and says, I've now only known Laurel for a couple of weeks, but in the time that I've gotten to know her well, I consider her to be a true and beautiful friend. She's so kind and so generous, and my father and I are lucky to have her in our lives. And now I can see that she is not the only lovely person in our family. I know I've just met all of you, but I can feel how much you all love each other, and I feel honored to be a part of all of this. To Laurel, and to Hannah, and to happy families.
But this 9-year-old can toast better than anyone I've ever seen.
Exactly. That's like at first, all the adults except for Floyd are silent and staring at each other because did a 9-year-old really just say that? Like she was more eloquent than all the other adults there. It just didn't make sense. But eventually they toasted and left the restaurant. Overall, the whole event went great. But as they're walking out of the restaurant, Paul pulls Laurel aside and says, Poppy's a delightful girl. Doesn't she kind of remind you of, in a funny way? And they're both thinking the same thing. Poppy doesn't just look like Ellie. She talks like her, has similar mannerisms. It's almost creepy. Funny, Laurel. You found yourself a lookalike family. A what? Well, Floyd, he looks a bit like me too, doesn't he? And Laurel shrugs off the comment, but the more she dwells on it on the ride back, she realizes it's kind of true. Floyd does resemble Paul in a way. They dress the same, even the same hairstyle, and all those weird feelings that she had about Floyd and Poppy was starting to get to her. So that night, she sleeps over at Floyd's place. And the next morning, she's about to leave, but the mailman slips the mail through the letterbox of the door. Gotta love the British. Laurel feels a bit awkward. I mean, is she really gonna open the door and move her leg dramatically over them? And then it's like, it's weird. But she also feels weird picking it up and then putting it on the counter, because what if it looks like she's just picking up his mail and going through his mail like a crazy girlfriend? So she's like, okay, let me just put them on the kitchen. Okay, it's weird. So she picks them up, and of course her eyes are gonna glance at the top letter. And it was to Miss Noelle Donnelly. And the name rings a bell, but Laurel can't place it. She's like, God, where do I know that name from? Noelle must be Poppy's mom. Maybe Floyd mentioned her name in passing or something. I don't know, that's weird. So she leaves, and the whole day she can't stop thinking about Noelle Donnelly. She can't shake the name. Why does it sound so familiar? And the next time Laurel sees Floyd, she says, hey, funny, I think I might have known someone that lived in this house before you. Huh? Yeah, well, there was a letter on your kitchen counter for Noelle Donnelly, and I can't for the life of me remember how I know her, but I do. I thought for a moment maybe it was Poppy's mom, and for a second, Floyd is still. And he says, it is her mom. Oh my God, well, is she Irish? Yes, she was.
What?
Did she work around here? Kind of. She was a tutor in math. I think she taught some of the local kids. Oh my God, yes, of course, that's it. She must have taught Ellie. Ellie had a tutor for a short while before, yeah. Wow, what a coincidence. Our paths have come so close to crossing, just 1 degree of separation. And Laurel nods absentmindedly, but she's no longer in the conversation. She's trying to remember the details. But it's been over a decade. But there is a vague thought. Someone that might remember it better is Ellie. So this is from Ellie's point of view. Before Ellie went missing, and Laurel doesn't know most of this information yet, Ellie had begged her for a math tutor. Laurel asked for a local mom's recommendation, and someone mentioned Noelle Donnelly. She was in her 40s. She had an Irish accent, pale, red hair. She smelled a little bit weird, like cooking oil or something. And it seemed fine, you know? It just seemed like she never washed her hair. Noelle's first words to Ellie were, "Good afternoon, Ellie. I hope you have your brain switched on." Ellie thought it was a bit weird. She tried to be funny or something. Anyway, Laurel walked in with some tea and cookies, and despite the awkward opening question, the first tutoring session went just as normal. Noelle was trying to understand Ellie's strengths or weaknesses in math, and they did a few exercises together. And soon enough, Noelle came over every Tuesday afternoon for their tutoring sessions. Gradually, Ellie's grades went from a B+ to an A+. Now, if you remember, Ellie is an overachiever, so this should have made her feel over the moon, right? But not really. Ellie was too busy being creeped out by Noelle. Just a tad bit. It seemed like Noelle liked her a little bit too much. She would constantly bring Ellie gifts, and it felt weird. I mean, burdensome almost. And I'm not talking about small candy and snacks. That would have been perfectly normal. But Noelle would buy Ellie earrings and lip balms and a nice pen. And she would always say, "For my best student," as she passed it over. Not only that, but Noelle seemed too interested in Ellie's life. She'd always stop the session and say, "So, how's that boyfriend of yours, Theo Wazowski, the handsome fella, huh?" "Oh, he's fine." "Well, he's a keeper." And sometimes Nellie would come in wanting to ask bizarre questions. On the day she came into a tutoring session with a super sour mood, she sat down with Ellie and asked her, "Tell me, Ellie, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you?" What? I don't know. Like a hamster dying, something like that. It's probably the worst thing that ever happened to you. I never had a hamster. Oh, well then there it is. Maybe not having a hamster is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. No, I've never wanted a hamster. I guess the worst thing is, actually, I don't know. You never wanted a dog? Not really. Noelle sighed and started pulling out pieces of paper and saying, "Well, you're a very, very lucky girl, aren't you? You really are. And I hope you appreciate how lucky you are." "Yeah, I do." "Good, because when you get to my age, there will be loads of things you want, and you will see everyone else getting that, but you. And you'll think, well, it must be my turn now. Surely. And you'll watch it disappear into the sunset, and there will be nothing you can do about it, nothing whatsoever." It was the first time Noelle was in one of those moods, but it wouldn't be the last. Almost every session after that, Noelle just got weirder and weirder. She would randomly pause the lesson to ask Ellie, "So what are your hopes and dreams?" I don't know, I guess just do well in my finals. Like, just get the lesson on. I mean, why are you being so weird, man? You're a math tutor, not a freaking accepted, her grades are good. She'd had enough of this weird lady that smelled like cooking oil. And she told her mom, hey, Mama, my grades are great now. I'm ready. Laura didn't think anything of it. She was just excited to have more breathing room in her family budget. When Laura called Noelle to tell her the news, obviously Noelle was understandably upset. I think she was counting on his income for the next few weeks because, I mean, who drops a tutor right before finals? And how do you even find a new student to work with? Because all the students that wanted a tutor, they probably already started working with one. So yeah, it's understandable that she was upset. But none of this mattered to 15-year-old Ellie, who had no idea what bills or life or anything was. Because she's 15 and that's the way it should be. She was just worried about her grades and her boyfriend. Noelle Donnelly was completely out of her mind. So much so when she runs into Noelle on a Thursday morning on her way to the library, it's been weeks. She does a double take. And as soon as Noelle sees Ellie, she runs up to her and is like, hey! And Ellie takes a few seconds to register. Oh, Noelle, hi. And those few seconds that Ellie didn't immediately register Noelle in her mind would change the course of her life forever. Noelle said, my best student, how are you? Are you ready for the big day? Yeah, totally. I've been using a practice paper for my other students, and they say it's been super helpful. And from what I've heard through the grapevine, is that they have a lot of crossover questions with this year's final. If you like, I can give you a copy. Yeah, that would be great. Now let me see, I could drop it off this evening if that's okay with you. That's great. Or you know what? Better yet, I don't have time. Why don't you just come around with me? I'm 4 houses down. Not pretty sure. Ellie looked around. She saw that he had busy residential area. People are walking around. Someone would see her. She didn't expect anything bad to happen, but she had been taught stranger danger. So she's a little bit hesitant. Besides, this was not a tutor that she worked with. Everyone in high school knew this tutor. So what could possibly go wrong? And she starts walking, but before she does, just across the street from Noelle's, Ellie stopped to check her reflection in the window of a parked car. The CCTV footage caught the moment, but Noelle was not in the frame. Then Ellie followed Noelle to her house, and now a decade later, Laura was calling Hannah to ask, hey, sweetie, do you remember anything about Ellie's old math tutor from like 10 years ago? Yeah, I remember her. Ellie hated her. What? No, she didn't. She didn't hate her. She just thought she was wonderful, her savior. She got her math grades up. Okay, whatever you say, that's not how I remember it. I remember her saying that she was weird and creepy, and that's why she stopped the lessons. What? No, she never ever said that. She said it was because her grades were good. So Laura reached under her bed, and she had kept Ellie's diary. And she starts going through it, and there were only a few entries about Noelle, and none of it was that alarming. She just said that Noelle was asking a couple weird questions, they were giving her gifts, and she was the best student, and she just said, I think I'm over this now. She really freaks me out sometimes. She's so intense and she smells. I'm gonna ask Mom to cancel our sessions. Nothing that inherently alarming. Just seems like Noelle might be a bit unhinged, but not dangerous by any means. Now clearly Ellie wasn't writing about stranger danger, just weird. Didn't want to deal with her. Before Laura can even get through her thoughts together, she gets a call from her son, Jake. He never calls. She picks it up. Hello, is everything okay? Jake? It's not Jake. It's Blue, his girlfriend. Oh, hi, is everything alright with Jake? Yes, he's fine. He's sitting right here. Okay, what can I do for you, Blue? I've been wrestling with this all weekend, and I haven't been able to think about anything else. But your boyfriend. I have a sixth sense of sorts. And your boyfriend, his aura is just all wrong. It's dark. I'm sorry? I have this gift. I can see into people's psyches through the walls of their higher consciousness, into their subconscious. And I'm really sorry, but the minute that I sat down and saw him there, the minute that we made eye contact, I just knew. You knew what? That he was hiding something. Listen, I know that you and I are not close, and I know it's mainly down to me being so self-protective, but I do care about you. You're the mother of the man that I love, and I want you to be safe. Honestly, we're all just pissed. Okay, firstly, she's not buying it. Second of all, she felt like Blue was the reason that her son didn't even call her. Which, side note, couldn't be further from the truth. Jake didn't call her because she was just so unpleasant to talk to. Thirdly, she's finally starting to have a normal life. Why couldn't everyone just get on board? Like, why? So Laurel decided to ignore Blue's warning and start seeing Floyd more regularly.
It looks exactly the same. Sweetie.
minutes, beautiful?
Ready?
Okay, yes. Mm. Mm. I didn't know. I usually hate fruit with dessert, but this is fantastic. Do you like it? Do you love it?
Fancy. Very fancy.
And so she starts seeing Floyd way more regularly. And one evening she goes over and SJ is there. Oh, hey SJ, I wasn't expecting to see you tonight. How are you? Oh, I wasn't supposed to be here, but my mom and I got into a huge fight. That's why I'm here. Oh, well, what did you guys fight about? I mean, you obviously don't have to tell me. I just met you and I'm not trying to like impose or get involved. It's fine, Laurel, it's fine. She just doesn't like my new boyfriend. He's 49. Well, that'll do it. And he's married. And he has 4 kids. The youngest is 8. Oh, so Floyd comes in and he says, listen, I told SJ to not come here seeking or expecting validation because she's not going to get it. And with that, SJ tears up and she storms out of the kitchen. She's heading to leave, but Laurel decides to stop her. Maybe they could have some one-on-one time. She says, SJ, let's just talk it out, you and me. What is there to talk out? I'm a bitch, I'm bad, I'm breaking up a family. What else is there to say? You know, I had an affair with a married man once when I was very young. To be fair, he didn't have any children, and he was only married for a year, but we had an affair for about 2 years while I was in university. Was he your teacher? No, just a friend. Well, did he leave her for you? He didn't, and I left university and it just kind of fizzled out. So who is it for you, a teacher? Well, I have a few part-time jobs, and including doing nude modeling for an art class, and my boyfriend is the teacher of the art course. Yeah, not predatory at all. So she's like, well, how long has this been going on for? A few months, and it's not what you think. It's not just sex, it's more than that. We talk all the time, and I'm his muse. Yeah, I'm his muse. And Laurel sighs. It's like this cliche after cliche after cliche, like, come on, girl, you're better than this. And she tells her, you're young, you're beautiful, you're intelligent, but you have to be careful. He's most likely never going to leave his partner or his kids. You're going to end up hurt, and with the internet these days, his wife is probably going to find out, and when she does, there's going to be consequences for everyone involved, including you. So after some of that bonding, Laurel can't help but ask SJ some of her own questions. To the low point of this, she said, do you remember anything about Noelle? Yeah, she's a bit freaky. Did you see her often? No, I used to come and stay with them more often back then, and she would be here, but she always acted like she hated me. What do you mean she hated you? Oh, you know, always made cutting remarks about my behavior, that I was out of control, that in her family I would have been beat black and blue for doing what I did. And the minute that my dad would leave the room, she would ignore me and act like I wasn't there. And she called me that girl. She wouldn't even say my name. She said, oh, is that girl going to be there? Is that girl going to her mom's anytime soon? Like that kind of thing. Honestly, she was pretty vile now that I think about it. Oh, that's horrible. You must have been horrified when she got pregnant. Yeah, I cried. How did you feel when Poppy was born? Did you feel jealousy? Because my kids kind of did. Oh, no, I was too old by then. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to see Poppy because I didn't believe that she was real, though. Wait, what? What do you mean by that? Poppy's not real? How is that even possible? I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but I thought she was like a robot baby or like an alien baby. I didn't even actually believe Noelle gave birth to her. I was scared of her. I was terrified of Poppy. That's a rather strange reaction you had. Yeah, kind of freakish reaction. Why do you think you felt like that? Well, there was a thing, and like a moment, I guess. And to this day, I still don't know if I imagined it or not. I was kind of a weird kid. I had some emotional difficulties growing up. I was prone to these outbursts of anger, and well, it happened during one of the heights of my outburst. And I was angry at my parents for splitting up. Dad was seeing this new woman that I didn't like, and she was pregnant, and I just had all these puberty and hormones and anxiety. It was a lot. During that year, I started something. I looked through the door of my dad's bedroom, and Noelle was 8 months pregnant. And I looked and I saw her changing, and there was no bump. Not even a slight bump. She was naked, and there was no bump. And I don't know what I saw. I don't know if I got my timelines mixed up, but I was never really able to process it, and I never knew if it was just me being a weird kid, can't deal with the idea of the new baby coming around, or my parents were never going to get back together. I don't know if it was that, or if it really happened. But when that baby was born 3 weeks later, I just said I was terrified. Laurel felt like she had crossed too many lines, and she let the topic go. But she knew that she would never sleep at night until she found out more. She needed to know more about Noelle Lockley. She dug up her old phone books, since back then they had phone books, and she looked up Noelle's landline number. Ring, ring, a man's voice answers. Hi, this is Joshua. I'm looking for Noelle Donnelly. Oh, I'm Noelle's nephew, if you were looking for her. I'm actually not really sure where our house is. No one in the family knows, no one's really heard from her for years, and since she has paid off her house, we've been kind of using it whenever we're around on campus to study. You're more than welcome to come over if you have any questions. So she comes over, and everything was still there. Her books, her clothes, her smile, all that stuff. And Noelle's sitting awkwardly in the living room. Well, what do you think happened to your aunt, Joshua? I have no idea, no clue, honestly. I mean, she was supposed to come to Ireland, and that's what I was told. She took her things, she took her passport, her card, she packed a bag, some photos, but she was clearly going somewhere. But wherever it was, it looks like maybe she never got there. Her passport was never used. She hadn't used her cards in years. Yeah, I don't know what that feels like. My daughter disappeared. Oh yeah? In 2005, and the last place that my daughter was seen alive was right there. The other side of this house, across the street, on CCTV camera. Have you ever met Noelle's daughter, Poppy? No, none of us have. She's the only cousin that I haven't met. That guy, the dad, Floyd or whatever, he keeps to himself and keeps her close to home. He didn't even want us to suggest to help him out with the kid. He's quite cold with us. He made it really clear that we weren't wanted around. And at this point, Laurel realizes that Poppy has no idea that she even has an Irish side of the family. Like, she has no idea about any of this. Well, Josh, I've been dating Floyd, actually. He's my boyfriend. And funny enough, Noelle used to tutor my daughter, Ellie. In fact, she was tutoring her weeks before she disappeared. Are you implying that something unusual happened? I don't know. I mean, it does sound odd. You got me thinking, my brain's working. You have a mystery, I have a mystery, and it seems like you think the two mysteries are somewhat connected. I don't know, it's just a thought. Have you ever been over Noelle's things, like her private things, maybe a diary? No, never, but there was something really strange that we just could never understand. Can I show you? And he starts pointing at the basement door. He's like, you have to trust me since it's in the basement. It's strange. The thing we found. Listen, I totally understand if you don't want to go down. I wouldn't if I were you. Probably seen too many scary movies. You know, the ones where you're like, don't go down the bloody stairs, you idiot. I could just describe it to you if you like, or I could just run down right now and take a photo with my phone.
Yes, do that, please.
And Little was like, it's fine. I can do that. And he's like, well, just text someone first and let them know where you are. That's what I would do. And she's like, just show me.
What?
Literally, how to get yourself killed 101. So Joshua leads her downstairs to the basement into a small square room with a small window that's super high up, right on the wall. And there's a small sofa pull-out bed, a TV set, and a chair, and a series of what looks like hamster cages piled on top of one another. And Josh says, there were like 20 hamsters in here when my uncle came. They were all dead, you know, on their backs with their little legs in the air. Some of them had eaten each other, apparently. I mean, we just kind of worked it out. We thought maybe she was breeding the hamsters and selling it to the kids she tutored, but there was no evidence of that. I mean, it was just weird. Why would you have all these hamsters in your basement and then just one day leave them to die? And Laurel felt a chill go up her spine. What do you think the room was used for, Joshua? I don't know, maybe a guest room? Laurel didn't think so, because there were 3 locks on that door. That didn't sound very friendly. Didn't sound like a great hostess. It's not very homey though, is it? Why would she have the sofa bed down here with the TV and all the hamsters? Listen, I told you it was weird. And when Josh wasn't looking, Laurel's eyes scanned the room and something caught her attention. Poking out from the sofa bed, she picked it up and slipped it in her pocket. It was a lip balm in bright pink, watermelon flavored. Laurel rushes home, pulls out a box of Ellie's things from under her bed, and she found 2 lip balms, mango and honeydew. She pulls out the watermelon one from her pocket, and they line up perfectly.
It's a set.
It's a set. religious. She had to go to church every single Sunday, and that religion really rubbed off on her. She believed sex was disgusting. Okay, you can only do it to create children. Like, not even sex after marriage was okay. If you were not going into sex with the intention to create a child, disgusting. Noel's parents didn't even sleep in the same room because they were just that religious. They were extreme. Noel had a ton of siblings, 4 brothers, and a younger sister that died when she was 8 years old. Now, Noel's parents were the type that really liked to put the kids against each other. She loved to manipulate them. They loved to just be so strict and constantly be like, why can't you be like your mother for getting grades or like this and that? And Noel did well in school, but she had a few flaws. The fact that she was the middle child, the only girl in the siblings, and the fact that she wasn't dead. Yeah, Noel's parents constantly compared her to her dead younger sister, who was prettier, nicer, smarter, and dead. Everything Noel was not. I mean, how do you compete with a dead girl? You can't. Because they're almost forever put in this high land in the parents' views, you know? So Noel pushed herself to try and make her parents proud. She went to college, got a PhD in math, moved to London, hoping to become something. But she knew it wasn't meant to be. Mainly because she felt like she didn't deserve to become something. Noel just had this crazy self-esteem. She thought she was ugly, stupid, not good enough. So when Noel became a teacher, which was a bit of an odd choice because she literally hated kids and she wasn't confident enough to command an entire classroom of kids, it just didn't work out. So when it didn't work, Noel was like, well, what can I do to make some money? She becomes a private math tutor. It just made more sense. The one-on-one was a bit easier to manage, and she could live in this cozy, cute little house all by herself. And it wasn't the most fulfilling life, but by the time that she's 41, she's still a virgin. She has little or no connection with anyone in the world, not even her family who are back in Ireland. And then one day, she picks up a book that changes her life. It was called Bad Math. Ring a bell? One that Floyd wrote, and Noel fell in love with this book. It was hilarious to her. She reread it over and over and over again. She said reading that book, she's laughed way more than she had reading that book than she had her entire life. She wasn't even exaggerating. And when she got to the last page, she sees the picture of the author. He looked like a humble, nerdy, middle-aged man. Back then, Floyd did not dress well. He didn't even have those tortoise shell glasses that make him look artsy. He just looked really like he looked like a math teacher, but not a professor. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like he looked like a math teacher, not a math professor. You know? It's a difference. So he was simple. He didn't do his hair. He didn't dress well. But Noel was like, this guy is perfect. I want to lick his toes. She stalked him online, found out that he was signing copies at a local bookstore, and she went. She wore a skirt, put on red lipstick, so scandalous, okay? The red lipstick brought the red in her hair. She never did that for anyone. She walked straight up to him. It was a pretty slow book signing. You know, it's a math book. She takes out her book. It was clear that she had reread this thing a million times. He says, oh wow, that's a well-loved copy you got. Yeah, it's a very useful tool. I'm a math tutor. Who should I make it out to? Noel? Oh, lovely name, Noel. Are you a Christmas baby? Yes, December 24th. Best Christmas present ever, huh? No, apparently not. I ruined Christmas for everyone. Now, Noel didn't say it to be cute and quirky. That was the truth. Her parents were not happy that she was born near Christmas. But with Noel's Irish accent, everything that she said just sounded cute and funny, even though she wasn't trying to be cute and funny. And Floyd, he liked it. She said, well, I'll let you go. I hope you have a safe journey back to London. Where do you live? Oh, I live in North London. Same. Well, whereabouts do you live? Stratford. Well, wow, what a coincidence. Me too. So Noel's freaking out, like, what? You live nearby? Yeah, Lot Iron Road, do you know it? Oh my god, yeah, that's only like a few rooms down from me. Well, Noel, hopefully our paths will cross again. Have a good one. And with that, Noel was gonna make sure that their paths crossed again. She did this, not by stalking him, but anytime she ran out of milk, she's like, oops, gotta run to the store in my best clothes, my cutest outfit. Forgot the newspaper, gotta go out again, because they literally live like 3 freaking roads down. So they probably have the same grocery store, have the same everything. So she's like, oh, gotta do this, gotta do that. And finally, a few weeks later, Noel runs into Floyd at the market. That's my dog carrying her big toy around, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, he recognizes her and he's like, oh my god, are you virgin. And he was like, okay, I'll stop. And then she was like, actually, don't stop. And he took things slowly. Now, Noelle was clearly head over heels with this guy, but she wasn't dumb. She knew that Floyd just wanted sex. I mean, it was obvious. He only called when he wanted sex. They never talked much. Mainly they cuddled, watched TV, and then they had sex. But Noelle was convinced. All these little moments leading up to the sex. I mean, most people would think that's not bonding. That's just Floyd trying to pretend like he didn't want her just for the sex. You know, he's trying to be all natural with it. He's like, I just wanted to hang out with you and like watch TV with you. You're like a really good TV companion, you know what I mean? Oh my god, we're just having sex like that? That's shocking. I didn't call you at 11 p.m. for that. That's what he's trying to do. But she thought that eventually he would fall in love with her. And after a year of this, I don't know if you could call it dating or whatever, Noelle even met SJ, Floyd's daughter. And remember, SJ is pissed that her parents are divorced and that Floyd is moving on with another woman. In fact, whenever Noelle came around, SJ would sit on her dad's lap and force him to follow her to the bathroom because she was too scared to pee, or force him to read like 25 different books before she fell asleep, while Noelle awkwardly waited in the living room. Now, SJ was just 11 when this all happened. It was a lot, but it was just like too much for Floyd. He felt like SJ was crazy and just bizarre, and Noelle was stressed. SJ was not easy to get along with, and SJ cried every time Noelle came over, and it just made Noelle feel like she was a monster, like she was the one making this child cry, and it brought her to this dark place. So one day, while Floyd and Noelle are in bed, I guess Floyd gets a bit comfortable, and he says, maybe if you and I had a child, maybe it would be like me, because SJ hates me. He was just saying that in passing, but Noelle was shocked. She hated kids. She never wanted them. But for Floyd, she would do anything. She lied and told Floyd that she was still on birth control. They stopped using condoms. And she wasn't on birth control. But what are the odds that Noelle, in her 40s is going to get pregnant? 2 months later, she got pregnant. She told Floyd, and he was ecstatic. He was over the moon. He even brought her to her first scan, held her hand the whole time, and Noelle was so nervous. He's like, it's okay, it's going to be okay. She didn't even like kids. But she felt so reassured and so loved, and she could feel the excitement that he was feeling, and she too started getting excited. But then the doctor came into the room and said, we can't locate the heartbeat. The fetus is dead. And in that doctor's room, the split second the doctor said that, Floyd dropped Noelle's hand, and that killed her. He just let go of her hand in the moment that she needed it most. He didn't really love her.
So what does he love? A new kid?
Yeah.
What a weirdo.
And to make matters worse, Floyd distanced himself. And the next time he saw her, he wanted to break up. He said, this could be our chance to walk away from each other. No hard feelings. But Noelle hung on to dear life. She begged him to be with her and would answer every and all booty calls whenever Floyd was feeling lonely at night. And a few years, yes, years passed. The two were sleeping with each other here and there, but it was even more obvious now that Floyd really didn't care about anything but sex. Like, he wasn't even doing the whole TV dance anymore. And it was just so painful for Noelle. She turned 44, missed another period. She thought that it was menopause, but she was pregnant. This time she didn't tell Floyd. She went to the doctor's appointments alone. But it was another miscarriage. The second miscarriage. And that was the day that she showed up to tutoring with Ellie and asked her, Ellie, what's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you? She looked around. She saw the family photos in Ellie's house. She saw the comfy furniture, the family cat named Teddy. This was everything she wanted. She wanted to feel like she had a place, a family, and she couldn't have it. Listen, it must have been hard for Noelle. She had a rough life. Nobody to fall back on. The only person that she really had was Floyd. And even then, she could feel like he was slipping from her grip. And she felt this crushing loneliness, this desperateness. But there was no excuse for what she did to Ellie. Noelle had always been jealous of golden girls. Her dead sister was a golden girl. The popular one, the extrovert that made head turns when they walked in the room. Noelle wished that she could have been one of them. But she couldn't have been. She was always lonely. And the more that she saw Ellie, the more it turned from jealousy to almost obsession. She became obsessed with Ellie. She wanted Ellie to like her. That's why she brought her these gifts. She complimented her. And even all the nagging about Ellie's hopes and dreams, it was in the idea that Ellie would feel like Noelle actually cared about her. She didn't realize that she was being overbearing and creepy. with Ellie were becoming the highlight of Noelle's week. She pictured after Ellie's aced finals, Ellie would throw her arms around Noelle in a tight embrace and say, Noelle, oh my God, thank you so much. And Laura would come up and say, oh, Noelle, we couldn't have done this without you. Come in, join us for dinner, have a drink with me. And she would sit there on that kitchen counter feeling like she was part of the family. But when Laurel called to cancel future tutoring sessions, Noelle said it was a fucking travesty. Her bubble had been popped again. She wasn't important, she wasn't special, she didn't have a family that cared about her, not her own. It sounded like she would make her own, and she definitely wasn't joining the Mac family. This was her second miscarriage, and that's when Noelle, just for shits and giggles, started stalking Ellie. I mean, it was just for shits and giggles that had been going on for weeks, and she never really approached her. But for some reason that day, when she saw Ellie walk to the library, she just had to say hi. She wanted to find out for herself why did you not want me for a tutor? But when she walked up and said hi, she stopped for a few seconds, a few split moments that felt like eternity to her. Ellie did not recognize her. This was like a punch in the gut, the nail in the coffin. Noelle knew that she meant nothing to Ellie, and that was devastating. She didn't know what she was going to do, but she invited Ellie over to her house. And while Ellie went into the living room, Noelle brought her over a drink to sip on. It was hot outside. Ellie brought the glass to her mouth and started drinking the entire thing before saying thank you. Oh, you lovely girl, you're welcome. Now you wait here and I'll bring the practice papers. Ellie could hear Noelle's footsteps as she left the room, but slowly Ellie started to lose consciousness. And when she opened her freaking eyes, she felt disoriented. It was dark, there was a squeak noise, she opens them as much as she can, and her body won't move. It won't even listen to her. She hears Noelle's voice. You're awake now? Now listen, I should apologize first for what I've done to you. It's terrible and unforgivable, really. But I hope with time you'll see why I did this. I hope you understand. Ellie struggled to move, like she could not move, and Noelle notices. Will the infection wear off soon? At least I hope they do. It said on the internet that it lasts about 3 to 12 hours, and you've been out for what? 12? So here, take a sip of water. And Ellie's first words were, my mom. My mom, where's my mom? Oh, don't you worry about her. She probably just thinks you're out with that boy of yours. It's a lovely evening, you know? The height of summer. Where am I? In my basement. Which makes it sound worse than it is. It's actually my guest room. Really? Not that I ever have any guests. But I used to keep all my other junk here and I cleaned it out just for you. Anyway, get some rest and I'll get you a sandwich. Don't try and get up because you're feeling a little bit woozy. You might fall and hurt your head. And Noelle ran her hands through Ellie's hair before saying, good girl. And she scurried out of the room. Ellie heard one long, then another, and then another. When Noelle comes back, Ellie's pleading with her, please let me just go home. Like, I miss my mom. She's probably worried sick about me. I don't want to eat anything. I'm not hungry, please. I want to go home. When Noelle was out of work, Ellie would scream and pound on the walls, but nothing. And the next time that Noelle opened the basement door, Ellie felt so much rage. She grabbed the chair and tried to throw it at Noelle, but she was out of energy from the lack of food, the lack of water, the lack of anything. And Noelle caught the chair, let it fall to the floor, but Ellie was done. She jumped up, leaned over the room, and tried to strangle Noelle, but it was no use. Noelle manhandled Ellie backwards up against the wall, where she strangled the breath out of her and let her broken body fall to the floor. You can't be doing things like that, Ellie. Now I have to tie you up again. We're in this together, you and me, and we can work as a team. I don't want to tie you up like a criminal. I really don't want that. I have treats in mind for you. Lovely things I wanted to do for you. And I won't be able to do that if you keep this up. So you behave for the rest of the day, and I will bring you your first treat. Ellie nodded. Noelle really thought that bringing Ellie chocolate and chips would make her hate her less for holding her hostage in the basement, but it didn't make up for anything. The next day, Ellie asked Noelle for tampons since she was starting her period. And Ellie asked, Noelle, what are you doing with me? Why am I here? Well, as it happens, I have a plan, a fabulous plan. I'm just waiting for a few things to, move into place or slot into place. So you can be patient and it will all be revealed very soon. Ellie had no idea what the hell she was talking about. But a few days later, Noelle came skipping down the hostage room and says, oh boy, do I have the present for you. You're gonna love it. Here it is. And it looked like one of those brown salad takeout boxes. And she hesitantly opened inside there was 2 small hamsters. Just look at them. Look at their little souls. Hamsters. You said you always wanted hamsters. I remember. Ellie nodded and gave a weak smile. She had no idea how to react. In fact, she explicitly stated to Noelle that she never wanted hamsters, but here they were, with a fucking hamster. Now, Ellie, you must make them. Come on. Ellie shrugged. Ellie, you don't seem that excited. I bet you would be jumping up and down at the sight of the hamsters. Noelle, I don't know how you expect me to be excited about anything when you're doing this to me. Oh, now it sounds so bad. You know, it could be worse. I could be a man, a big sweaty man that was coming down on here to do God knows what to you at all hours of the night. I could keep you tied up all day, or in a box under my bed. I read a book once about a married couple who stole a girl from the side of the road, kept her under the bed for years. Sweet Jesus, just imagine that. No, you've got it good here. You've got it good. So go on, name them. So Ellie names them. She says, good. I'll keep you supplied with everything that you need, all the straws, the toys, all of that. And your job is to nurture the hamsters. You want to keep them clean, loved, and fed. A little like what I do for you. Do you see? I keep you clean and fed. You keep the hamsters clean and fed. It's like a little cycle that we've got going on. Noelle got up to leave, but before she opened the door, she had a change of mind and she turned around and said, you know, I did see a little story about you in the papers. You know what they're saying? They said you couldn't face the pressure at finals, so you ran away from home. Who said that? It was your mother, I think. Yeah, it's your mother. Ellie was heartbroken. Like, how could her mom make you think that? Like, her own mom? Noelle leaves, and Ellie is left with the freaking hamsters that she hates. She hated taking care of them. She hated the smell of them. She doesn't like hamsters. It's just not her thing. Listen, hamsters are not everybody's thing. They're cute until I stare at them too long. She even asked Noelle for, some things, and Noelle said everything. And the one thing that she remembers, well, the two things that Ellie remembers during her time in captivity is that, first of all, she never knew what day it was, and it was driving her nuts. Every time she asked Noelle, would say, oh, I think it's the 9th, or it's the 8th. She's like, of what month, She would never respond. And the second thing is, random nights, Ellie would kind of black out. It's like she was drugged again. And after one of those instances, Ellie remembered things just weren't normal. She didn't know what was happening, but she did feel different. She couldn't stop crying. She felt little bubbles in her stomach. Were you expecting that?
I kind of know what's going on.
So, Ellie didn't know she was pregnant. She thought her period left that she was under duress, but she was pregnant. Noelle knew. Noelle had planned it. First of all, she dolled up, went to Floyd's house, had sex with him, and the next morning she took out a bag of frozen sperm that she got from a random internet donor. She was going to use it to impregnate Ellie. Noelle had been tracking her cycles, and she didn't expect Ellie to get pregnant on the first try, but she did. And Noelle was over the moon. She bought fake baby bumps to really seal the deal. She told Floyd that she could never have sex during this pregnancy because the placenta was low-lying. It was a lie. She just needed to hide that she was actually pregnant. And more than the pregnancy, the no sex rule took a big toll on Floyd and Noelle's relationship, since that's the only reason I thought Floyd liked her to begin with. And so for 9 months, he could have sex with her. And Noelle, she felt annoyed, but she felt like, once the baby is born, Floyd is not going to be able to resist me or the baby. He's going to want us to be a happy little family.